everyone. Welcome to Versus Live. I'm Ross Merriam.
Hi.
Now you say,
wait, am I supposed to do something?
You say, and I'm Todd Anderson.
Oh, and I'm Todd Anderson.
Todd, you've done this right? before.
It's been a long time.
It has been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Let's welcome back Todd.
Yeah.
After what almost two years or so, little under.
Little under 2 years. Me and Callie moved to California in, I believe, August of 2019. She got a job out in Blizzard, and we were there for a little while. But
so in reality, it's been about 14 years.
Yeah. It's been a long time. It's good to be back. It's good to be back.
Corey's out of town, so Todd's going to be filling in for him for the next 3 episodes, actually. So we're going to be back on our regular
payday. Let's go.
Back on our regular schedule tomorrow on Thursday at 1 p.m. and then next Tuesday. And you'll see Corey back again here next Thursday. We also have a Dan in the booth. Say hi to the folks, Dan.
Hi to the folks, Dan.
Okay, there it is.
Dan will be taking all of your questions, comments, concerns, and burns in the chat.
Highly request burns. Yes. Burns on Ross specifically, and more specifically, pun nicknames on Ross's name like Frost's Coldium or something, stupid stuff.
Isn't this also a good time to get some burns on Corey while he's not here to defend himself?
No, that's the worst time because I want to see his face. When you crush him with the jokes.
Well, you can only see half of my face. So.
Okay. Well, I know that the other half is smiling, so that's fine.
So make sure you tag at StarCityGames when you send those burns in the chat so Dan can see them and send his favorites over to us. We finally have the entire Modern Horizons set. I believe the rest of it was previewed this morning. So, over the next week or two, we're going to be getting through a lot of brews. Corey and I have been playing a lot with Modern Horizons over the last week or two, and it's been great.
I've actually watched all y'all shows for the past 2 weeks, and a lot of the Modern Horizons cards look awesome. I know last week y'all played Grist. You were playing Grist, the new Planeswalker.
Yep.
The Walking Corpse or the Walking Tide or something like that. That's new. Collect a company into a Planeswalker. How can that just seems right up my alley. I love that kind of stuff.
I've got some lists in my brew Google Doc where I'm unearthing it.
Okay. Oh.
You like to unearth Planeswalker?
Okay. Here's a second question.
Turn 1 supplier, turn 2.
Do you have any other insects so that you can potentially get the extra mill from Grist?
So I did an entire search of insects in Modern, and they're not good.
Nameless inversion?
Not good enough. You can't play a 2-mana lightning bolt just so you can occasionally get a 1/1.
What if, though, you combine it with Hakan Stromgold, Nameless Inversion, and Grist, and you have this cool, weird graveyard? See, he made the face. He's like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. This is just what I do. I just say random stuff, and hopefully it's good. It's probably not, but it's fun.
It got you pretty far.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
Who are we to judge?
All right, so what are we playing today?
I'm going to be starting out with a deck I'm sure a lot of people out in our audience have brewed, and this is my take on Mardu Reanimator.
Okay.
We got a sort of fixed Entomb with Unmarked Grave, a fixed, reanimation spell, a sort of fixed Gorya's Vengeance in Persist, even though it's fixed by completely inverting it, so you only hit non-legends instead of legends.
Sure.
And when I initially built this deck, we did not have Archon of Cruelty. Made that change sort of last minute here, and both, Todd and I were very excited when we saw that, because without the ability to get Gristlebrand, that was sort of your bread and butter as a Reanimator deck. You played 3 or 4 copies of it. That was the one you wanted to loot away, and you were going to consistently reanimate. And then sometimes you would tutor for other targets.
Well, they purposely pushed a lot of the legends over the course of Magic's history to make them iconic, to make them powerful. And so we just kind of naturally gravitated towards the best creatures when it came to reanimation targets, which just happened to be legendary, and Gristlebrand being the marquee card because of its lifelink, flying, giant power, toughness, and the ability to draw 7 cards allowed you to play a bunch of free spells and stuff. And it was just one of the most powerful creatures ever printed. And it's awesome to see a different kind of Reanimator deck because they've built these kind of artificial constrictions on the cards themselves. Yep. So it's really interesting to build new Reanimator decks.
Yeah. So in the list that I'm playing today, Archon of Cruelty is really our bread and butter card. There's a couple tutor targets for Unmarked Grave. I'm also playing Ransack the Lab as a key way to dig through my deck and find the right pieces, but that's
the black strategic planning.
Yes.
Okay,
but it also fills my graveyard which works with some of my reanimation effects like Priest of Fell Rites and Unburial Rites,
Sure.
which is sort of the reason, I'm going into white, so I can have access to reanimation spells from my graveyard, and that really gives you a lot of resilience to discard and counter spells.
Now, the tutor to put a card in your graveyard.
Unmarked grave.
Unmarked grave. Well, now, I didn't realize this until we were talking about it like 10 minutes ago, but I didn't realize that it could get any card that was not legendary. So being able to go get an Unburial Rites, it kind of just feels like an Entomb. Like it's 2 mana, which is about on par for Modern compared to Legacy, 1 versus 2. And there's that artificial construction of no legendary. So like on average, your Reanimator target is going to be a little weaker, but honestly, Archon of Cruelty looks incredible.
Yeah. So, this deck with, instantly neonate, you can have persist on turn 2. Mm-hmm. With Priest of Fell Rites, you can set it up and reanimate things on turn 3, but you're often going to be able to really do it by turn 4. And that's kind of the speed of the deck. And then the one wrinkle that I've incorporated is I want to be naturally resilient to graveyard hate. All Reanimator decks want to because you're playing so hard to it. And so I've included Madcap Experiment in the main that package.
Yeah.
So Platinum Empyrean is a perfectly fine card, especially in matchups like Prowess or Burn, to just tutor for with Unmarked Grave and persist back, right?
Yeah, I mean, Lightning Bolt is one of the most played cards in Modern, so having the main deck Madcap Experiment Platinum Empyrean makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and now you just have a natural way to get a big creature onto the battlefield without using the graveyard. So if people have, main deck Soul Guide Lanterns or something like that, when they bring in Graveyard Hate post board, you don't have to, board in
Completely
6 cards.
Yeah.
You can focus on, making minor changes.
Now, did you account for the Madcap Experiment package by playing fewer fetch lands? Do you have a low fetch land mana base?
I think I have like 8. I didn't really think about that much when I was building my mana base.
This is how we learn. This is, we'll see just how good or bad it is, right? And then we'll adjust for the next iteration. So
one thing I want to be wary of when I'm playing these games, one thing I want to watch out for is, am I playing too many big creatures? Like, where's the right ratio of, ways to dig through my deck, ways to put things in my graveyard, ways to return things from my graveyard, and things to return. Those are the 4 elements of the Reanimator deck, and you want to have them in the right balance. It's unlikely that I got it right on the first try, right? So we want to take special note when we're playing these games to see, where might the balance be off, what adjustments need to be made moving forward.
All right. So from my side, I'm going to be playing a deck list from my article from last week. I wrote about Suspend. As the previews are coming in hot and heavy, I thought it was one of the more unique on the day where I was supposed to write. Suspend acts like this blink effect that can kind of act as pseudo removal for your opponent's stuff for a couple turns. It kind of just buys you time. The way the Unsummon works specifically as a bounce spell, it's good against more expensive creatures because they spend a lot of mana to invest and you put it back into their hand. Suspend is kind of the opposite, where if they spend a small amount of mana on a creature and you play a Suspend on it, a few turns from now, the value of 1 mana creature diminishes over time. And so when it comes back, it's going to have a much smaller impact on the game. Like, imagine just playing it on like a Monastery Swiftspear on turn 1, you're saving yourself like 6 damage or something. And that's like pretty good. Now, but I think the key for Suspend specifically is to double it up as a way to target your own stuff as a blink effect. And so what I've done is I've got a deck that's Ephemerate and Suspend as the core, and then a ton of creatures that have awesome enters the battlefield abilities, and then we also have 4 copies of Teferi, Hero of Teferi, Time Raveler, because with Suspend specifically, the creature doesn't come back because they have to cast it off of Suspend, and the way that Suspend works with Teferi is Teferi wins.
Yeah, they're trying to cast it on their upkeep. They can't do that.
Yeah. So we're playing, all sorts of new cards. We're playing 4 copies of Grief and 4 copies of the white one.
All those pitch incarnations, great with Suspend. Similar to Ephemerate, not as immediately impactful, but honestly, like with a card like what's the white one's name? Solitude.
Solitude. Okay.
They often don't have a million creatures on the battlefield when you're casting it early with an Ephemerate. With a Suspend, you can kill their early creature, have that 3/2 ready, and your opponent's just like, I don't want to cast any creatures. For
anyone who's played Time Spiral Limited, we're building our own Tysus.
Yeah.
That's it. If you have any experience with the card Tysus, we're building our own. It's awesome.
And then you've also got the Valky interaction with Suspend, where you can exile that. Then when you go to cast it, you can cast either side. And you can get yourself a
Yeah, it's a soft combo. It's not as easy as like a Bring to Light. Like it takes a lot of moving pieces, but I'm kind of banking on Valky being an okay card by itself, Suspend being an okay card by itself. But then when your opponent's tapped out, sometimes you just go, all right, 3 mana, do this thing, blink it, and then if 2 turns later, I'm going to have a Tibble Cosmic Imposter, and I'm going to bury you.
Yeah, this deck is super cool. I think Suspend is one of the. I think most people understand that it's good. I'm not sure if they understand just how good it is. I think that card's among the better cards in the entire set.
It's very hard to use, I think. And this is actually the first time I've gotten to play with it because it just came out today on Magic Online, I think, or they released the full set today. And not a lot of people have gotten to play with it. Me specifically. This is actually the first time I've touched physical cards in an extremely long time. So
this is going to be a really cool matchup. Todd's got a lot of ways to remove big creatures from the battlefield.
Yeah, but your big creatures gain you significant advantage when they hit the table.
You don't need any dice. I have the marbles. You go first.
Okay. So what happens if I win the marbles but I'm not on the next day? We'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll figure it out later.
We'll cross that bridge because we're not going to come to it.
We'll cross that bridge of Terabitha when we come to it. So me and Callie always say. All right, I have to mulligan. I only have 1 land.
I have 5 lands. So that seems like too many.
All right, take a mulligan. Dan, any questions from the chat?
Yeah, actually. One second. Let me get my mic on. Because this entire day is just going straight to heck.
Yeah.
No.
Turns out when you do a live show, there's just like complications sometimes, especially when you got a new guy throwing a wrench in the mix,
Just thrown off the rhythm completely.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Y'all invited me to be here.
I didn't invite you.
Yeah, okay. All right.
No, nobody told me.
So, Ross, from Maestro Wow, that's his name. Brian Bronduin recently spoke on the Bash Bros podcast about the design team intending the new 7-mana Angel as a reclamation target. Or reanimation target, excuse me.
This is the one that gives you and creatures you control protection from a certain card type. You name a card type when it enters the battlefield.
I think the one they're talking about is Glorious Enforcer. 5 white for a 5/5 flying lifelink at the beginning of each combat. If you have more life than your opponent, Glorious Enforcer gains double strike until end of turn.
Oh, so it's just giant lifelinker? It doesn't have protection though, right?
There might be another angel. I'm not sure.
There's another angel that gives you protection and your other creatures protection from like a specific card type. So it makes it like instants don't kill it or sorceries don't kill it or whatever. So
yeah. So
it's okay.
Here's my issue with this lifelink angel is its lack of protection. Okay. So you're likely persisting this onto the battlefield a large portion of the time, and so it's going to be a 4/4. It's going to have a -1/-1 counter. And that means, like, Bolt plus Lava Dart takes it down. If they have Soulscar Mace, they can shrink it.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I think so. Sarah's Emissary seems like a much more powerful tutor target, but I just wasn't sure like, what situations am I tutoring specifically for that card.
Yeah, I think that would be like...
Is that like my
until Archon of Cruelty was previewed, that might have been like the one you play 4 of because it's generically good and hard to kill. But like, I don't think it's that much better than like you said, like Inkwell Leviathan or whatever.
Yeah, well, you can't play Inkwell in my list because it's an artifact.
Oh,
so that was critical. That's the way I sort of view that card, but I didn't really think I needed something like that. I think you can just generate a bunch of value with, Archon of Cruelty. I did it before Archon have Grave Titan in the list, so that was sort of my answer to heavy spot removal. I'm still looking at my second hand.
Yep.
So, that's definitely...
Y'all do the thing where you stop at 6 for like a couple times? I'm technically on 5, but...
you go to 5.
I don't want to go 5.
Did you not put a second card back?
No, not yet.
We'll put one back.
Well, that's rude.
That's what happens when we play for the marbles.
Okay.
Dude, things are different now.
Serious business.
That's fine, man. I just want to make a good product. And I feel like playing on 5 on game 1 with your cool new deck, that's kind of BS, if you ask me. You're up. That's all right. I'm just going to kick Ross's ass.
Well, I am going to...
I thought you were.
Play a Bloodstained Mire and pass the turn.
You'll notice that the pace of play is going to increase dramatically whenever I'm on the show. And I will make Ross play at my speed. So. All right, you're at 19.
Yeah, I'm going to 19, and I definitely need to get a white source here. The question is whether or not I want black-white or red-white. I think it's black-white, so I'll get a Tap Godless Shrine.
We're not sponsored by the can that I'm about to drink out of, so I'm not going to say what it is, but...
And yet you have the label facing out.
So you're fine.
But ride the walrus. That's all I'm going to say.
But I'm the walrus. Cuckoo-gajoo.
Oh, man. That's the first thing I thought of was Ride the Walrus when they came out with Dermotaxi. Because they just like turn an animal into a thing, but there's like a Futurama reference where you ride the walrus. All right, hurry up, Chief. Come on.
Shuffling my deck.
Right. Good job.
Gave you some time to talk about walruses.
Cool.
Okay, well, I'm going to evoke a Grief, exiling an Unmarked Grave.
All right, which of my 3 cool cards do you want?
Um,
Probably Time Raveler, if I had to guess.
yeah, I guess I'll just take the Teferi.
Yep.
And
also, apologies for the proxies. A couple of them are off because we needed too many, but you going to get a Reflector Mage?
No, I don't have another discard spell. I was going to play Priest here, but now that doesn't seem to make sense, so I'll just play Unmarked Grave. And I guess I'll put in an Archon.
Okay.
I could put in Sire of Insanity, actually. So if I get to reanimate this, you'll just lose both Reflector Mages.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat. But it's also just like a dopey 6/4.
True.
And if you draw a Suspend, I'm sad. Could also just get like a Burial Rites and then see if I can put a creature into the graveyard some other way. I don't really have a great hand for doing that, though, and I'd like to be able to just draw Persist and have that as a great out. So I definitely want to get a creature. And God, just drawing a card with Archon doesn't seem great. Yeah, I'm actually going to go for the Sire.
All right, I drew Valky. I'm going to go ahead and cast it and trigger. Look at your hand.
That's pretty cool because you're getting something. I've got the Priest that I didn't play because of those Reflector Mages.
All right, I'm going to go 19, just quick fetch. Since he knows my hand, there's no reason to bluff or hold back info or whatever. And I'll be done after that.
So we got 19 all. Got a Priest, and I've just got these 2 Madcap Experiments and
no
other
only 2 lands. So
come on, Persist.
It's actually kind of funny. I actually might, if you bring back Siren Sanity and make me discard these, I can turn this into Priest of Fell Rites and then bring back Reflector Mage and bounce it. Go.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. I'm very excited.
I will then get the Priest back into my hand.
All right, 19.
But I won't have anything to return. Yeah, it's 19 all.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I did drop Persist.
Oh, come on. All right, so
I'm going to cast it.
I'm going to go.
I'm going to force the action.
Yep.
Yeah, I have to discard these.
Just want to make sure, is this a sorcery?
Or sorcery speed, and you pay 3 life. And you'll have to pay 2 mana to activate the Valky.
Yep. All right, so
you'll go to 16.
Get your thing back.
Priest goes back to my hand, and then the Sire goes to my hand.
All right, Pester. But now he can play Priest, and he has...
yeah. So
doesn't have anything super good in the graveyard. But
Nope.
He's got a lot of ways to get stuff there, so...
hold on.
Okay. Play your land. It's fine.
I drew a Grief, and I'm just thinking, do I want to get rid of Sire to play it? But then I don't get to, if I draw like... I think I'd rather just be able to draw Collective Brutality or Insolent Neonate.
Well, we had a good draw. Reflector Mage this. Attack for 2. You're at 17. I'm at 16. You're go. Like I said, hot and heavy. We go fast.
Yeah, I'll just play a tap land and pass.
For you?
13.
13. All right. I'm going to play a Tidehold Scholar. Trigger.
That is a good set of draws.
All right, so you got a Priest. 2 cards I don't care about. I'll take the Priests. Here you go. Because he was going to be able to recast it this turn.
I'm at 13 right now.
I have you at 13, me at 16.
Pass the turn.
Now, I do have Skyclave in my deck, so it's possible that I actually have my mana base built slightly off. Hey, for 6, put you to 7. I don't know why, but I feel like you drew something kind of gross. But I don't know what it is. But the way you paused was not... It did not feel like you were considering Grief. It was like considering doing something sorcery speed versus instant speed. So, I'm going to pass turn.
Draw.
Yep.
Ugh. What do you have? Let's check it out. Evoke Grief.
All right, trigger on the stack. I'm gonna... No, that's fine. Whatever. All right. You want Ephemerate or Scholar?
I will take the Scholar.
Okay, that's interesting.
I guess you can just ephemerate your Scholar. Yeah. I just don't. I can't beat either of them.
Okay.
So I need.
Did you draw like another Madcap or something?
Yeah, I do another Madcap and another Grief. I've just overloaded on 4 drops and stopped at 3 lands. Yeah, I'm just dead.
Well, only if I draw phase, Scholar you, or whatever. Like, you know, you're at 7. You got 1 turn. That's in the graveyard.
Yeah.
Let's play it out. All right. 6.
Go to 1.
All right. Play this tap, say go, draw step, target this.
I was drawing a fetch land anyway.
Okay. I'll take experiment, and then you can't do anything. GG. All right.
And we sort of traded resources early in that game, and I drew really well for the persist, but then you just drew well back with the Reflector Mage, and suddenly I just couldn't really get much going. It was a little bit too light on resources. I needed a 4th land, so my mulligan really hurt more than yours.
Sure.
Because you're the deck that benefits from us trading resources. So if we both mulligan, I think that advantages Todd.
Yeah, I think that Sorry of Insanity was definitely an interesting pick for the creature to go get. I was thinking you should just get Blanket Archon because, like, even if I'm able to deal with it, eventually you're probably going to be able to get it back. You draw a card off of it. You make me sacrifice a creature. Like, it just has so many different things that happen, and, like, all of which are good. And Sire only hits the 2 things from my hand, which are just Reflector Mages, and, like, I don't know. It's close. So, but I think that was the pinnacle of the game was just the choice of creature. But I don't know if there was one that would have ultimately saved you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, you know, if I get Archon, you know, maybe I just eventually then get to 4 mana.
Right. I can't
slows
cast
the
the
game down a
Reflector
lot.
Mages, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're stuck in my hand until you play something.
So I would have drawn. You would have done nothing. I would have drawn, which is what actually happened. I mean, you just played a land. And I would have
played Valkyrie. I drew Valkyrie and played it. So it would have changed the texture of that. It would have prevented me from being able to play a non-Reflector Mage creature, I think, which would have been a big deal.
Yeah.
And maybe bought you enough time to get your Madcaps online.
Well, I think if I just got to 4 mana at a reasonable life total, which I would have, I just start hard casting the Griefs. And that would have ended up being really good because that starts getting me back, you know, card advantage, stopping your attacks. And I would have been able to rip your hand apart before I cast the Madcap. Yeah, I think it ultimately would have been better there for me to get the Archon.
Hit me.
With what?
I don't know. Questions, comments, concerns, or burns.
Okay.
Your choice. You're the dealer.
Yeah.
Dealer's choice.
You're the master of the chat.
Yeah.
The MC.
All right. So let's bring up a question from LR Maverick because this seems actually very appropriate. They talk about having Grave Titan as a reanimation target, which you originally thought of having in this deck, didn't you,
Yeah,
Ross?
the original list did have 2 copies, and then when Archon was printed, I just replaced them with Archon. I think it's just a significantly more powerful card. And it does sort of something similar, you know, where you're generating card advantage while bringing back your creatures. If they deal with it, you should have some more resources with which to play the game. And ultimately, Archon is just, you know, a more powerful card, though Grave Titan does have the advantage of sometimes being castable. Yeah. There's only a 20-land deck, but there are definitely games where you're going to get up to 6 mana. It's possible you want 1 Grave Titan, but, you know, especially in my build with the Madcap package, you just don't have room. But in a build without Madcap, 1 Grave Titan seems like a reasonable addition.
All right. Game number 2.
Game number 2, and I will be on the play.
But you have the marbles. I thought the rule is if you have the marbles, I get to be on the play.
That's just how it starts.
Oh, man.
I will keep the 7.
I know, Ross. I made that rule. I'm I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah,
Okay.
I would have mulliganed already. I'm not wasting everybody's time. Just sitting here, just waiting. Go. All right, I'm going to go 19. I'm getting this tapped.
I'm going to play a Ransack the Lab.
Nice. I haven't seen that card cast too much. I hope it's great. I always love strategic planning.
I will put this one into my hand, and I will put Platinum Empyrean and Priest of Felrites into my graveyard.
Okay, cool. Right,
that's a pretty good Ransack the Lab.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and play a Valky. Valky.
Okay, well, you've got a Platinum Empyrean there, and I'll show you the rest of my awesome hand.
Well, I'm going to get to 8 pretty soon, so...
So here I have the option of persisting the Platinum Empyrean, but that does not seem great given how many ways Todd has to interact with it. So I think I am going to take this opportunity to just brutality. I'm going to do all 3 modes.
Okay, so you're going to go
because
to
this madcap experiment I've drawn is dead, seeing as I've also hit both Platinum Empyreans.
All right, so it's just like a instant sorcerer, right?
Yes.
Whoopsie. But I'm stuck on land.
So doesn't have mana. So you're gonna take 2 to 18. I'll go to 22.
I'm
you
at
also
17.
fetched, yes. You're at 17. I'm at 22. Empyrean back in my hand. And I'll pass the turn.
And I'll leave these face up for you, baby. Ooh, we drew it. All right, we're gonna play a Teferi. Literally my least favorite card that has ever been printed. And I'm gonna take up. Here you go.
Okay, I will go to 21. And no, the Savai Triome I might actually end up cycling because I've got enough mana.
Yeah.
So I'll just get the Godless Shrine.
When does this feel like? Did you ever play Reanimator in Legacy?
I
Rarely.
don't think in a major tournament.
I played a lot, and whenever my opponent would get a Liliana the Veil or a Jace the Mind Sculptor onto the battlefield before I had a big creature in play, it made me feel like I couldn't win the game anymore. And I hope that's what you're going through right now. That's what I'm saying.
It's not great.
Yeah.
I had a pretty good start to this game, but your interaction is just,
Massive.
very, very good.
I'm like the cool thing about this deck is that like with grief and like a couple of the other disruptive elements, the original version I also had 4 copies of Thoughtseize, but I kind of constricted the amount of spell-based interaction for more creature-based interaction. For combo, we have grief and Tidehole Sculler with all the blink effects. For all the creature-based decks, we have so much stuff.
Really, you wish I hadn't gotten rid of my
Madcap?
my brutality. And drew another big creature I'd like to bring back. So let's play Silent Clearing, and I don't think there's any point in Burial Righting the Empyrean. It just gets bounced by Teferi.
Yeah, Archon makes you sack Planeswalkers too, right? So
yes.
Archon could be good against Teferi. I might actually just minus next turn and draw a card to make sure that I don't get completely broke by it.
Yeah, I'm going to sack the Silent Clearing and pass the turn.
All right. I'm going to draw a card. Trigger.
Do you like Empyrean or Terastodon?
I'll take Nasty Terasti. That's my guy.
It's an elephant.
Go ahead. No, he's just my little guy. And he makes more little guys.
Okay. Tap Sacred Foundry, you're up.
All right, fetch 16. Let me get a blue-white. Actually, I'll get a Savai Triome in case I draw Valky later. I don't think I have much double blue, and I don't think I'm going to go blue creature plus suspend anytime soon since I have this Valky in play. Cutsies?
So you're at 16?
Yeah. No cuts? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think with how much interaction Todd has, I just need to be going for Archon as much as possible.
All right, tick up. Attack for 2.
Yeah, I will go to 19.
All right, go. Actually, you just don't have target for this. I'm just going to toss this junk on there. Yeah, give me a 2/2.
Friend of the show, Brendan DeCandio in chat.
BD!
Todd, I thought the rate of play was supposed to increase.
What's in my pat?
That's what he asked.
Excuse me? All right, well,
15.
I guess I could just flash in this Solitude.
It is up to 1, so you're not forced to exile your own creature.
Yeah, and it's also not that your opponent controls too, so you can target your own stuff to gain life if you need to. All right, I'm at 14.
Yep.
I already took this up. Here you go.
Yeah, I'm dead.
Ripperoni, dude.
Hitting both Platinum Empyreans early is very awkward.
Yeah.
But yeah, I need to be hitting Archon as much as possible in this matchup because it's not that I'm going to land one threat and it's going to win the game. So I need to play a grindy game plan in this matchup. So the sideboard is we're going to make some adjustments. think I understand what I need to do.
Okay, well, we're going to take a breather here while Ross and I get our sideboards together. When we come back, we'll tell you what we did and go over the plans and such, I guess.
Yep. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to a Versus Live, where we are sideboarding in our matchup between Mardu Reanimator and Esper Blink. On my side of things, even though it seems a little awkward to be bringing out Madcap Experiment in a matchup where my opponent does have some graveyard hate, the Platinum Empyrean is just not effective in this matchup. You have a lot of great answers for individual big creatures, and Platinum Empyrean doesn't do anything other than be a big creature.
Mm-hmm. I think the one thing you got to ask yourself when you have the Madcap Experiment Platinum Empyrean package in your deck is a 4-mana 8/8 good enough? And in this instance, it doesn't do that much. Like, you know, like if you're playing against Lightning Bolts and Lava Darts and stuff like that, Platinum Empyrean rules. But if you're playing against a deck with Reflector Mage, just kind of doo-doo. Yeah, for lack of a better.
So, you know, what's going to happen is if you leave Madcap and Platinum Empyrean in your deck, yeah, there are going to be some games where you would have done nothing in the face of Graveyard Hate, and now you're going to be able to do something, but that something will not be good enough to win the game.
Right.
So it might as well have been nothing. So in the games where, you know, I can navigate around Graveyard Hate or you don't draw it, I'd rather be able to just grind through a lot of your creatures and play this long game and make sure that I'm generating card advantage with my Archons and other, you know, Ashen Riders and other big reanimation targets. And that means I'm going to be bringing in my removal spells. I got my Rift Parts, got my Lightning Axes, got some Vindicates that can answer, Teferis, a very wide array of permanents. And we're just going to have to hope the Sanctifier Invect doesn't show up.
Yeah, Sanctifier Invect's one of those cards that's like, it's too much. Like, it's too much. I understand.
Just read it and look at it, and you're like, really?
Like,
what's this
can
necessary?
we face cam for a second? We're on you. It's too much. Okay, not to be a stickler for the people who designed the card or whatever. It's fine. It's flavorful or whatever. Come on, it's so hard to kill, and it does so much. It's so good. It's too good as a hate card.
You can't give it both difficult to answer and does a lot. You can
cost 2.
And is cheap.
Yeah.
You can give it 2 out of 3.
I mean, 2 out of 3 is like still great.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. We all know that.
Yeah.
But 3 out of 3, why does it get everything?
It's fine. So Sanctifier Invect, we're not playing 4 in this build specifically because my mana base is leaning more even across blue, black, and white, and the double white on 2 is actually somewhat difficult when I'm playing Dark Slick Shores and Water Graves and things like that.
There are also definitely games where you need the graveyard hit on turn 1.
Booyah.
If you're on the draw.
So a combination of Nile Spellbomb and Sanctifier coming in over the Skyclave Apparition. This card is more for the aggressive decks, the creature-based decks, or the decks with a bunch of weird cheap permanents. Clearly, Ross has very few of those, just a couple of the priests of Fellrights.
Insolent neonates, but you don't really want to hit those with
Dan the Man, hit me.
Let's see what we got here. Okay, that's a good one, actually. From Zabugbug, Ross, Bone Shards instead of Lightning Axe. What do you think?
Bone Shards is the one where you sacrifice a creature and destroy a creature, Planeswalker?
I think so. We don't have enough creatures.
Yeah, what are we sacrificing?
That's the problem. But I will say that Lightning Axe main deck might be a great idea. Yeah. Little interaction, but a cheap discard outlet, very similar to Neonate, because Neonate doesn't like dig you for the thing, you kind of already need to have it.
So Bone Shards, sack a creature or discard a card. Destroy target creature or Planeswalker.
1 black. Discard a card or sack a creature. Oh, sorcery. Okay.
Yeah, sorcery speed.
I mean, that card that's a lot better than I thought. I misread it when I first saw it, I guess.
Did I.
I thought it was just Bone Splinters reprint, honestly, with the ability to kill Planeswalkers.
One that could hit Planeswalkers.
I just thought it was just slight upgrade to Bone Splinters, but no, it's 1,000 times better than that. Okay, cool. Interesting card. We'll definitely consider it.
Yeah, should probably be in the deck over Lightning Axe, though being a sorcery is a real cost.
Agreed. Like, when you're on the play as the Reanimator deck and you go turn 1 Blackleaf Cliffs and they play Noble Hierarch, you're like, okay, axe that, untap, persist, you're dead.
Yeah.
And that's not something Bone Splinter can do. Or Bone Fragments? What's it called?
Bone Shards.
Bone Shards.
The reality is, I think Bone Shards would then be the much more main deckable card. Your opponent goes turn 3 to Fairy Plus and they're feeling great, and you untap and go Bone Shards that, discard my creature, persist it, and you've completely undone them. I think that card should be in small numbers in the main deck.
All right.
Probably over Collective Brutality. There's 3 brutalities here. You probably go down to 2, trim somewhere else, and play 2 of each. Mm-hmm. Maybe if you don't madcap, you just play more. Then you just play more discard outlets because you need to. This hand is just 1 card away, but on 7 in a deck like this, you can pretty aggressively mulligan and take advantage of the London Mulligan rule, so I'm going to send this one back.
Okay. I'll keep mine if you want to hit us with a question while we're shuffling up for the mulligan.
Oh, we'll have time for at least 7 questions.
I hope not.
Let's go with the Dong Waltz. How are you guys feeling about Dredge these days? Seems like some powerful new graveyard hate got printed.
Oh yeah, just a few things. Nothing that Dredge is not used to playing against. Weird thing about hate cards: when there are enough of them in a format, the expectation is that they basically just snuff out the archetype that they're trying to, right? Like they're so oppressive that, like, for example, people are talking about Break Through the Ice or whatever the new
Break the Ice.
Break the Ice. People are talking about Break the Ice and all these other cards they're printing for hate cards for Tron, and they're like, okay, Tron's dead, right? But when that happens, people kind of accept that Tron is dead and then don't play the cards. And what that does is it creates this vacuum where Tron is seemingly bad, but secretly extremely good. And I think Dredge actually benefits from that a lot. Whenever like Dredge wins a tournament the previous weekend, you should like never play it on the next weekend because that just means a ton of graveyard hate's coming. But it's kind of the opposite when a lot of new hate cards get printed because people are just like, okay, unless like maybe week 1 Dredge is not good because Sanctifier and Vex just I mean it's a human, right? Like it's just nuts, and humans are going to be good. So I don't know, but
I tend to agree with you, Todd. The number of hate cards that are available, it doesn't really make a huge impact once you get to the level where they're widely available. And Graveyard Hate has been widely available in Modern for years,
yeah.
Right? So it's not like the availability of more different Graveyard Hate cards is going to create a situation where people play more of them on their sideboard. They're just going to play different ones.
Yeah.
And yeah, they might get better, but for the most part, you just needed to draw your hate cards anyway, and that doesn't really change the texture of Dredge's matchups all that much. What does change the texture of matchups for linear strategies is when they start becoming underpowered relative to the rest of the format, and you start losing without your opponents playing hate. That's when decks like Dredge and Tron get significantly worse. That's when they die. And so additional hate cards doesn't really kill Dredge. It just strengthens the sideboard matchups for different decks. So like Humans is going to feel more confident about its Dredge matchup if it wants to be.
Yeah.
But there are definitely going to be weekends where you're not prepared for Dredge and Dredge shows up.
If Dredge is not around for 3-4 weeks straight, you're just like, okay, well, I didn't side in my Sanctifiers for 20 straight matches. I'm going to cut them. And then that's usually around the time where Dredge starts to pick back up steam again. So.
The real question for me is whether or not Sanctifier and Vex becomes a common replacement for Auriok Champion.
It will. Which
is already there for Death Shadow and Monastery of Swiftspear decks.
It's incredible.
And that becomes a problem because that means the hate doesn't leave because it's not dedicated Dredge hate.
Yeah, and which is the problem. And which is, well, sorry, it's not the problem. It is my problem with the card.
Exactly. Yeah. Because it does everything.
Right.
And that's why it's too much.
Right. All right. How's your quote unquote?
This has been It's Too Much with Todd Anderson.
Yeah. For your health.
Yeah, it's a fine 6. It's definitely a keep. It needs a little help. I'll send that one back, and I will play a Bloodstained Mire and pass the turn.
All right. What'd you mold to?
6.
Are you sure about that? Pretty sure it's about to be 4.
You just... Oh.
Oh, no.
Oh, what? Oh, Lord, he coming? Where's my Godless Shrine? Get in here. All right. I'm gonna grief you. And I'm gonna stack the triggers right. And I'm gonna explain this as I'm doing it so people at home understand the interaction here. So we're going to cast Grief. We're gonna exile
Evoke a Grief.
Evoke Grief, excuse me. All right. So what happens is there's a counter to die to evoke, and then, or sorry, trigger to die to evoke, and a trigger for discard. We're going to stack it so the trigger to die to evoke goes below the trigger to discard. So we're going to resolve trigger to discard first, and the trigger to die is on the stack. And this is so that you can remove the interaction before you play your blink spell.
Yep. If I had a piece of one-man interaction, which I don't, right. But that's definitely good practice. I do have a Brutality to break up the rebound on Ephemerate. That's likely a card you'll want to take, but then you have to leave me with 2 different 2-mana.
Well, I'm getting 3 cards because I'm... Oh, I'm not. So I start with this.
You just take Priest and Brutality and then take Persist on the rebound, right? Yeah.
Yes. And then leave you with Vindicate or whatever. So.
Yeah.
All right, so Ephemerate gets... you're not supposed to do this in a tournament, but I'm just going to do this.
Okay.
And then get you again, get the...
I got punished by keeping the Vindicate over the Rip Apart. If I kept the Rip Apart, then I'd have 2 ways to break this up.
Well, I probably would leave you with the Priest and just take Persist, and then because I have interaction for Priest eventually. So
yeah,
your turn.
I guess at that point you would just realize you're taking 2 cards. You could just take then leave me with both removal spells, right?
Well, if I leave you with Brutality, you can Brutality this before I can do this and get the third
so you
card.
just take both removal spells and then take Persist on the rebound and then interact with my Priest.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, that's not good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to... normally, I would say I didn't want to draw that Rip Apart, so I wasn't going to crack this fetch, but now I definitely do.
Okay, so 17, 19?
Yeah, we'll go to 19. This one is going to get my Triome.
Let's do it right. All right, I'm going to put a counter on my Ephemerate. It's over here in rebound time.
Let's put it on top of your deck.
Well, you're not supposed to do that in a tournament. You can trouble.
You're allowed to put dice on top of your deck now.
Oh, dice.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
So that'll remind
I thought
that
you said
have
put it on top of your deck, which I assumed meant ephemerate.
No, but the die on ephemerate is weird.
Right.
I'm
No,
at
it's just a
19.
marker
You're at
for me.
17. No, this is the third time this has happened to me on Versus Live. I've not come close to winning either of the first 2 games.
It's insane. It's ridiculous. This interaction specifically is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. It's just, what was the thing in Yu-Gi-Oh that led to people winning on turn 1 all the time?
I don't know. I never play that game. I just watched the cartoon where they just slam dragons over and over.
God, if I just didn't mulligan if I had the removal spell. So, I drew Unmarked Grave, and I definitely want to cast that to get the creature in my graveyard.
Yeah, I like it.
I was thinking about, if you didn't have, guaranteed removal here, I would think about persisting the priest and then setting up for next turn.
Ooh. But I have guaranteed discard, so
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
I
Doesn't
agree.
really work.
All right,
Ross, were you thinking Exodia?
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
All right, thanks, Pop Snap.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go to 18, play on Mark Grave, get an Archon in my graveyard.
Yeah. All right. So Archon of Cruelty, if we can get that on the screen just so everyone can read it, so we kind of know what happens if it comes onto the battlefield.
I'll pass the turn.
All right. So my upkeep, I'm going to ephemerate blink this.
Yeah, take my persist.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to draw for turn.
Yep.
And this has Summoning Sickness. I'm going to shock down to 15. I'm going to go and just get a Valky onto the battlefield to get some more beats on because I haven't drawn Suspend yet. I want to do the Suspend Valky, but if I don't, it's okay.
So you're at 15 and I'm at 18.
Did you fetch a second time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 15, 18. So I got.
You have 3 cards?
I do. And they're all dope.
Normally I would want to save this, but I think I want to deal with a Teferi. So I'm just going to evoke this Grief.
You don't have to ferry.
Still has multiple answers.
Yeah. Shoot a 13.
Yeah.
Okay. Here you go.
And Druid persist.
Jesus. All right. So you get Archon. I'm gonna discard Solitude.
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
Can you read it for me just so I know everything? Because is it just like mini Cruel to me? It's sack a creature, discard a card,
lose 3 life.
lose 3
and I
life.
draw a card in game 3.
You draw a card and gain 3. So you're gonna be at 16. I'm at 12. I discard. I'm gonna sack Valky.
And then this is gonna get.
Yeah.
Oh, you're just discarding
whenever
the
it
solid.
enters
Yeah,
the
I'm just discarding
battlefield or attacks.
Or attacks. Good lord.
Yeah. It's ETB or attack. It's a type.
Okay.
So I draw a card,
Mhm.
and I'll pass the turn.
Man, persist. What a card.
And you attack for 3. I go to 13.
Yeah, here you go. So now he doesn't have a real creature in the graveyard. Wait, do you have another Archon in there? What's that? Oh, that's a Grief.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
He gained 3
Gained
life from
3
the
off the
Archon,
Archon.
and then then I attacked him for 3 again.
Yeah. Okay. Collective Brutality, discarding Archon, drain you for 2 and kill the Grief.
Yep.
So you're going to go to 10, and I'm going to go to 15.
Yep, and then I'm going to go to 9 and fetch.
Okay. Pass the turn. So I only have 2
Crazy
persists
topics.
left in my deck, but if I just draw some lands, I can eventually unearth the Priest.
Yeah, that's like a cool little. It's like a mini on barrel
I
rights.
should have gotten Archon in game 1. Do you have Priest in your deck?
I have 2.
Oh.
We talked about this because it was a hybrid for both my pitch cards.
Yeah.
There's one here. I pitched on 1.
Okay. I'm at 13.
Here you go. I can't believe you're in this game after my turn 1.
Okay, drew another persist.
Good God.
That was good.
Woo, baby. All right, Reflector Mage. I go to 6. You're at 16.
16.
How is this a thing?
I'll draw a card.
That card's nutty.
I'll pass the turn.
All right. Well, we have the Priest. All right, so I can get Solitude, and you'll gain some life, or I can just Reflector Mage it. Exile versus Bounce. Do you have another? You don't have another one in the graveyard, right?
No.
Okay. All right, so we're definitely doing this. I'm going to go
You go to 3.
and I don't really want to give you life. But it has lifelink. That actually is better. Okay, well, exile that you gain 5. You're 21. And then I'm going to Sculler you. All right, take.
You need to draw a land for either.
This one.
Because
Oh, wait.
I'm a dingus and fetch my swamp.
They're like the same, I guess. The question is, does he have lands that... do you have he might have a second swamp in his deck, so whatever. I don't know. Yeah. Which one?
I'm definitely going to hit the Sculler, so I can then hit the Solitude. So I'm going to take 1 from the clearing, go to 20.
Okay.
I go to 17, you go to 6 from the attack.
Yep. And I'll play another Sculler and take your Vindicate. Here you go. Now, I have Priest in the graveyard, too, so at any point, if I draw a land, I can unearth it because I gain some life off Solitude.
Sack clearing.
Yep.
Play Black Cliffs and pass the turn.
All right, attack for 5, I gain 3.
12 to 9.
Yeah, dude, this game's nice. This is a good game. All right, take up. Here you go.
I think the underrated issue for me in this matchup is that your deck operates from very low lands. Like, you never get to the point where you have 6 or 7 lands in play. So my attempt to grind is difficult. Play clearing and sack.
Yep.
Pass the turn.
All right, we have, what, 9-17, right?
9 to 12.
9 to 12. Okay.
You missed your attack last turn.
Okay. Untap. Draw. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to fetch down to 8. I'm just going to get a plains. I'm going to priest, unearth, and then I'm going to get back grief.
Don't you? Yeah, I guess getting back grief is cool.
Well, unearth, it goes away at the end of turn, right?
Sure, but if you attack for 7, then I'm dead next turn. Like you.
Yeah, but I just take your card.
Okay.
I think. I don't know.
I have 2 lands.
Okay. Back for. I mean, yeah, but now I know you're dead, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so I'm going to go to. Yeah, I'm still dead. I'm still dead next turn. Right. So I'm going to go to 7 from the attack. You're going to end up at 8 because you lose 3, gain 3.
Yep.
You stay the same.
All right, here you go.
Got 8 to 7, and I don't know what I can draw. Yeah, I guess removal spells.
Yeah, removal to get this back and kill one of these keeps you alive.
Insolent Neonate.
I don't think that does anything.
Let's
this
discard
cool.
Sacred Foundry.
Yep.
Ransack the lab.
Okay.
Actually, if I had initially drawn Ransack the Lab and put Archon in the graveyard and found my 4th Persist, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
But instead, I just Archon to 2 lands.
GG.
Yeah, just too many ways to interact with me in this matchup, and too many ways to do it cheaply. You know, a lot of decks are playing things like Fatal Push and Lightning Bolt that are really bad against all the big creatures.
Yeah.
You have none of those, and instead it's just all good interaction. It's Reflector Mage, it's Solitude, it's Teferi, and then discard spells and the ephemerates to double up. You never even drew a Suspend, which is like that's your Fatal Push, and it still does interact with my creatures.
Right. Not
as well, but
yeah. The thing when I built this deck, my goal in general was to make all my interaction be permanent based if possible, except for the ephemerates and the suspends, because I wanted to have basically the most amount of creatures that I could have while still being able to play Teferi Time Raveler because it works with suspend. And then it starts to get a little tricky, a little hazy when you're trying to make grief work with solitude. But I like the Priest of Felrights. A couple of them felt good. Like I pitched one and I used one and it felt great. Tidal Scholar was pretty good, and I never even got to do like the cool blink trick with it where you get the free card off your opponent. But
yeah, ultimately, I think this matchup was just a lopsided on paper. But the one thing I will say from the Reanimator deck is we saw the power of Archon of Cruelty. Yeah, it really did give me a chance. If you had bricked on turn or 2, if I got to attack with it ever,
I think if you got a game 1 instead of the Sire, you might have had a good shot because you would have drawn that card and kind of start turning towards like your 4th land. My Reflector Major is kind of just rotting my hand, except for bouncing your Archon. The whole game changes because I don't even have Vulcan play anymore because you made me sacrifice.
Yeah, the game would have just gone on a lot longer, and especially in game 1 when you're not drawing to the Invec or Nile Spellbomb. Yeah, I think it would have given me a lot better chance. I would have been able to get to 4 mana, start casting Madcaps, at least draw out some interaction that way. So yeah, I agree. I made a mistake in game 1, just not going for Archon.
That happens.
But then you learn how the matchup is, and given that you had so much good interaction for my creatures, I should have known that 1/6/4, even if it did get rid of 2 pieces of interaction, wasn't going to be able to end the game.
Yeah. So one of the cool things I want to point out about the Esper Blink deck specifically is that, like Ross said, when people are playing the traditional interaction, Lightning Bolt, Fatal Push, creature kill spells only that are really cheap. Those happen to be quite good against normal creature-based decks, but they kind of flounder against combo or control or whatever, right? So when I was building the deck, I noticed that like the pitch spells, the solitudes and the grief can actually just replace those as my utility in that kind of mana slot, while not being dead in some of those matchups. Like Grief, Tidal Scholar are just so powerful against the combo decks. And then, you have all these cards like Reflector Mage that are like, they're bad against like combo decks, but they're not that bad. Like they're just creatures, they just come down and attack. But when you start to play them against the decks where they shine, like you start to see that like it's a torrent of interaction that not many decks can handle. Like I knew this matchup wouldn't be that bad because your payoffs are creature based and they don't have hexproof. They're not giant things. But at the same time, like what deck do you think would be good against this deck? I'm genuinely curious. I'm not like trying to put you on the spot or whatever. I'm just like, I want to know what you think would be a bad matchup for my deck because I want to know because I don't know.
I'd be curious about how you match up against Prowess. I think you deal yourself a decent amount of damage. I think they have some card advantage now with things like Expressive Iteration.
Yeah.
That's kind of a default answer, right? Prowess is sort of the best deck in the format right now.
Yeah, it's very good.
And I think they're a deck that can really force you to use all of your pitch spells aggressively, and that's going to lose you card advantage.
Sure,
right?
But we noticed that early though that card advantage had like very little impact on the plays I was making. Like I was still able to operate on low resources pretty aggressively.
Yeah, so I think you would, you would stay in the game, but eventually over the course of all of those early trades, you would be taking damage here and there,
sure,
and they would eventually just burn you out. I think that's how the game would play out a lot of the time, because I don't think you'd be able to pressure them back. Like, you don't have a big over-the-top card. You have a bunch of 2/2s that they can answer.
They
or
have a lot of interaction
back.
For my Tidal Scholars and stuff. So
but you do have good interaction for Storming Entity. That's important. So you have good. I don't think it would be a landslide, but that's sort of a big test for any sort of oddball strategy. So I'd like to see that. I'm not sure. I guess you have a lot of discard against a deck like Tron, but you don't have a ton of pressure.
Sure.
You give them a lot of time to just establish Tron off the top.
No, that's
and
fair.
Then play a big spell.
Maybe I need some sort of like big Tron hate card if Tron is like my bad matchup.
Same with Primeval Titan decks. I think there would just be a ton of games where you're trying to get there with 2 and 4 power creatures, and they're just need to rip a Titan off the top. And if they do, you just can't do anything about it. So maybe things like Ashiok in your sideboard or something like that.
Oh yeah, and then break the ice could be good too.
So you do have Solitude as an answer to Primeval Titan, and Suspend plus Teferi. Yeah, I think the deck is really cool. I didn't realize that it was going to be able to operate on such a low base of resources.
I didn't either.
So often.
Dude, I just put
really
cards
impressive.
together and hope that they work because they look cool or whatever. So I don't know. All right, let's take like 2 questions and then we'll do sideboard or do next round.
Yeah, we'll have a 5-minute break in a couple seconds. Chat is wondering about Unholy Heat. This is like a new burn spell for us Izzet guys. For 1 red, instant speed, Unholy Heat deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Delirium. Unholy Heat deals 6 damage instead if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard.
That's kind of rad. It seems like a lot of hoops to jump through to just play. What's the Delve one?
Magmatic Sinkhole.
Magmatic Sinkhole.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Delirium is a lot harder to get than people think. Like, obviously, if you play a bunch of Seal of Fires and Mishra's Baubles, like, it could be good, but you want, like, Seal of Fire to be that card that does that role for you because it helps enable the Delirium stuff. I'm a huge proponent of your Delirium cards being, like, your creature payoffs, like Grimflayer. The new Bloodbraid 2-drop seems really good. The Cascade, I forgot his name.
It's hard for... Okay, theoretically, I think I could contrive a scenario where a deck... wants an effect like this, and this card is the best thing for it. But I can't think of one that exists right now.
Yeah.
Like, Izzet Prowess is going to play Seal of Fire so they can, get their Prowess triggers without committing the actual shock.
Yeah.
A lot of even Delirium decks are going to play Seal of Fire just because they want the card type or they want it to interact with Lurrus.
Yeah.
This is, decks like, Jund Death Shadow that could be incorporated Delirium theme because of Bauble as well. And at the point where you're trying to play Delirium Payoffs, this one is just worse than having Fatal Push in your deck. Because a lot of the time, 6 damage still doesn't kill Scourge of the Skyclaves or Death Shadow.
Yeah, I agree. But this maybe opens up the possibility to play like blue-red Delirium, you know? Like there's the 1-drop Delver-style Surveil creature, and you could play this card and Seal of Fire together, and just those be like some of your cheap removal alongside Lightning Bolt, you know?
Yeah, so it would have to be like a non-black Delirium deck somehow, which just seems strange to me. But if such a deck were to exist, this card would probably be good in it.
Sure.
But it's a very narrow range of archetypes where I think this card is desirable.
Uno mas.
All right. From Lord Vell, if this grief plan is going to be popular, do cards like Loxodon Smiter start seeing play again?
Loxodon Smiter doesn't let you replace the discard. Dodecapod, I believe, is legal from Time Spiral, and that specifically does let you replace the discard, so maybe a Dodecapod in the sideboard could be cool.
What do you mean by replacing the discard?
Okay, so Loxodon Smiter, you have to discard it. But Dodecapod says if someone would make you discard, you may instead discard Dodecapod and it comes into play. I'm pretty sure.
Smiter is the same thing.
No, Smiter, you have to specifically discard it. Like, if I Thought Seize you and take another card, Smiter doesn't enter the battlefield. But if I Thought Seize you, and I thought Dodecapod, you replaced it, but I could be wrong.
I'm pretty sure they work the same way.
Okay, I thought there was some card that, like, was in Modern that punished, like, every discard, but I can't recall.
And the real issue there is that the situation is going to have to be where, like, that's their only option.
Yeah.
And even if you say you keep a 4-lane hand and they go turn 1 Ephemerate Grief, so you have 3 spells, they can take 2 other things and then opt not to rebound the Ephemerate. The rebound is a mag. So you literally have to keep like a 5-land 2-spell hand where that's one of them to punish them for it. And you're punishing yourself in order to try to punish them.
Yeah, I mean, if your whole deck's full of Will Leaf Leeches and Loxodon Smiters, though, you might just get them, you know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
if you have like but that's just going too hard. That's, changing your entire deck.
Yeah. Maybe like Leyline Sanctity sees a lot more sideboard play as like an anti-discard effect because the discard's so potent, but I don't know.
Yeah, there's Leyline of Sanctity, there's Veil Summer.
Veil is good. Veil might actually just be main deckable now if Grief is like running all over the place. Yeah. It was already like somewhat main deckable.
My thing though is that, when I've played against Grief, if they haven't had it turn 1, then it hasn't been an issue. But it's literally just the turn 1 combo has won the game on the spot every time. Yeah. So it's a very polarizing thing, which means it doesn't seem like it's going to take over the format, but it's just going to happen often enough to be really annoying. Mm-hmm. So we'll kind of see where that goes.
It's just a good interactive tool.
It's really good.
It's really good. I agree. All right, break time?
Yeah, we are done with the match 1 here. We are going to take a quick 5-minute break, get our second match set up, and we'll be right back here on Versus Live. Don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back to Versus Live. I'm Ross Merriam.
And I'm Todd Anderson.
And we've got Dan the man in the booth. Say what's up, Dan.
What's up, Dan?
Dan will be taking all of your questions, comments, concerns, and burns in the chat. Make sure to tag @StarCityGames.
Are you like my marionette?
And send his favorites over to us.
Can you just say whatever I tell you to say? Hey, Dan, say, I love Pinkberry.
What's Pinkberry?
It's a yogurt.
Frozen yogurt chain.
Oh.
One of the self-serve ones?
Yeah, I'm sponsored by them now, so if you say it, it counts.
Are you?
No, I'm not. I'm joking. Okay. See, you just repeated whatever you said. I know that's the gimmick.
So Rob started doing that bit, and then whenever Dan would guess...
I came up with that one, too.
He would literally refuse to say what I said. But then eventually he relented.
Okay. Yeah, actually, eventually I relented.
One time I said something so quickly that he wasn't sure, because I would say what he normally would say as a reply, and then he just instinctively said what he normally would say, and so he accidentally repeated me, and I celebrated and danced on camera, and it was great.
Okay, but that broke him, and now he's your puppet.
Yes, so essentially one day I broke him.
Yeah, he's a marionette. That's what I just asked.
He's a Danionette.
Danionette. Or he's a Marionette. You get it.
Yeah.
All right. Match number 2. We're going to be playing some more cool decks featuring Modern Horizons 2. Since I won last match, I'll just go ahead and talk about my deck first. Pretty basic stuff. 5-color humans or 4-color humans, however you build it, is a deck that's been in Modern for a long time now. I played it in multiple opens and Grand Prix, and I absolutely loved it. Ether Vial, one of the more powerful cards in the archetype. It is pretty regular that the humans deck gets some sort of tool that may or may not be good enough, and people always like speculate on how good it's going to be in specific archetypes.
Yeah. Anytime a 3-mana or less human with reasonable stats or an ability shows up, it's like, does this go into Modern Humans?
Now, specifically, if we could pull it up, Esper Sentinel is going to be the card in my main deck that I'm focused on testing out. This 1-mana creature, it allows you to kind of threaten to draw cards if your opponent doesn't pay mana. It's very Ristic Study-esque, where if they play, Serum Visions or something like that, you're going to punish them. If they play a removal spell, you're going to punish them. They have to pay 1, or you get to draw a card. It only happens once a turn, so it's not quite as powerful as all that, but it's a 1-drop, and it's a human. And if you pump it with Thala's Lieutenant, it makes their life miserable. And one of the things I want to stress about humans specifically is that the easiest way for humans to lose is to mulligan to 5 and be resource light, or to flood out in the late game and just run out of juice. And we kind of try to counteract that with things like Horizon Canopies. We're playing 6 of the canopy type lands to kind of prevent that flooding, but it still happens like a lot. So being able to have cards that kind of replace themselves or whatever is awesome. I love it.
Helps you dig towards that Mantis Rider that often closes the game.
Shardless Agent is another card that was previewed after we put this deck together. I do want to try it. It's not in this version. It is a human, but it cascades kind of randomly, so you can hit Noble Hierarch, and it's kind of poop soup or whatever.
Personally, the one I want to play in that sort of flex 3-drops, because you're always playing Reflector Mage and Mantis Rider, and usually you have room for 2 or 3 others. I would rather play Sanctum Prelate.
Sanctum Prelate sounds really nice. Good. I like that card in a white Winnie Saw deck. It just doesn't hit very hard, and I don't know.
Pump it up.
All right, what are you playing?
I am playing a cool brew. This is from my article this week, all about Ignoble Hierarch. I know, much like me, Todd is also a fan of Noble Hierarch and has played it many times over the years. And Ignoble Hierarch is, just as powerful. It just fits into a lot of different style decks based on
Noble Hierarch.
Ignoble.
Noble Hierarch.
Yeah. Yeah. Ignoble Hierarch.
Yeah. Noble Hierarch.
Yeah.
So you're playing a Bant deck?
Close. More your speed, actually. I'm playing a Temur deck.
Ooh, Temur time. Let's go.
Yeah, so I'm using the red part specifically of Ignoble Hierarch in this deck so that you can cast Kiki Jiki effectively. I know that there were Naya Kiki Chord decks around years ago in Modern, but they really couldn't cast Kiki Jiki effectively, so they were usually down to 1 copy.
Yeah.
You were just chording for it, so that made them much more of a mid-range value deck. I'm more of a combo deck. I'm like 3 copies of Kiki Jiki. Granted, it's in 80 cards because I'm using Yorion as a companion, but we also get to play 4 more tutors that find it in Imperial Recruiter, another card coming to us in Modern Horizons 2.
I have one very important question for you.
Yeah?
Are you happy that you're playing against me so that you get to be the one to cast Yorion?
I've played some Yorion decks against Corey before.
I have heard that he is a Yorion fiend.
Speaking of, he's in chat.
Oh, what's up, Corey?
Of course he is.
How's it going, man? All right.
Yeah.
All right, so those are the 2 decks.
Yeah, and then, there's a huge toolbox because we're 80 cards. You actually get to fit a bigger toolbox in the deck. Ignoble Hierarch lets you accelerate out really fast. Got plenty of mana creatures, but should be a cool deck and a really good deck with Yorion. One of the main 3-drop I'm playing is Seasoned Pyromancer because it lets you, get rid of bad 1-ofs. It lets you dig through your deck for your combo. It's good to blink with Yorion. Just a perfect card of the deck.
Yeah. All right, let's get to it.
Not a ton of interaction in my list, so that worries me a little bit, but I do have 4 Lightning Bolts and some Ren and 6s, and Ren is great in this matchup.
Well, like Ren stinks, if you ask me. All right, my hand's great.
I will keep my hand.
You're up.
I'm going to start by going to 19. I think I can just get a forest here and play the Bird's Paradise.
Because of how we've constructed our main deck, we actually get to play Jegantha as it's a pretty common companion for humans these days. It works actually really well with like somewhat dead Ether Vials. Usually you want to keep Ether Vial at 3, but if you're kind of out of juice, like you can, the turn where you have nothing to do with it when it's at 3, you can take it up to 4 and then use your mana to bring back Jegantha, and then on the following turn you just get like a free 5/5 off your vial. You get to use all the pieces. You know what I'm saying?
Really, Todd just got jealous that I was going to have a companion. He was like, I want a companion too.
Look, I just want to be clear. I built 3 decks and handed them to Ross, and he picked all the matchups. So last round when I swept him, that's on him.
Okay. Moving on.
Don't want to show you how the hot dogs are made, but you know, too many cooks in the kitchen will get you.
I will play a mountain.
Yeah.
I will pass the turn. On your upkeep, I will play an Exarch and tap your planes.
Tap my planes.
You're going to probably get to play a 1-drop. Yeah, with the trigger on the stack. Okay. You're going to get to play a 1-drop either way, but I want to stop you from getting a 2-drop down this turn.
All right.
Which is usually the heaviest part of their curve.
All right. I'm going to take a damage. 19. I'm going to get Esper Sentinel onto the battlefield, and what this is going to do, it's going to allow me to draw a card if Ross plays some annoying thing. So.
A pretty cool card.
It's been a long time since my land got tapped by a Deceiver X Heart. It does not feel good. It does not feel good at all. I am terrified of dying to Kiki Jiki.
I think we can safely attack for 1, but does that matter?
I don't think so.
I think it's better as a defensive creature in case you got... No, if you had a Champion of the Parish in your hand, you would have played it and then vialed in the Esper Sentinel.
Agree.
And gotten your counters. So you definitely don't have a Champion. You could have a Noble Hierarch, too.
Possibly.
That would be the only...
to be clear, also, though, there are if I would have done this...
That's right? What I was just about to say.
Because this is the land I played. Yeah. So this signifies that I almost definitely have Noble Hierarch. But you also want to make sure that you get Esper Sentinel onto the battlefield preemptively, because if you play it in response, or if you put it into play off Vial in response to a cast non-creature spell or whatever, it doesn't work. Yeah. It's like Thalia. Like Thalia doesn't retroactively cost their spell 1 more mana or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very likely a Noble Hierarch. So I think I want the butt on defense there. So I'm just going to take 2, but gain it back immediately with a Huntmaster of the Fells.
All right, 21. Or sorry, say 19.
I don't think we got a wolf token out.
Well, we might have. I might have put it in my in my.
So for now, let's use a Drake token, I guess. Oh, we can use a Justin Parnell zombie token. That seems better. Okay. My life total stays the same. I'm still at 19. Yeah, you have the Noble on end step.
Yep. End step Noble, untap. Draw.
Yeah, a Vial to 2 on your upkeep. My guess is Todd casts a spell.
Oh, yeah, what you think? I hope so. If I don't cast a spell, I'm probably in some trouble. The problem is I have a lot of options. I'm not really sure what to do.
Yeah.
Vial is a way to generate just huge bursts of mana. All right, let's play Waterlogged Grove. I'm gonna play Reflector Mage, and I think I want to bounce Birds of Paradise. If I bounce Birds of Paradise, what that does is it kind of sets Ross back on mana. He can't cast again next turn, so it's going to be trash for the rest of the game if I bounce that. But if I bounce Huntmaster, obviously he can't cast the next turn, but the turn after that is going to be pretty good again. If I bounce Deceiver Exarch, he actually just gets to cast on my turn because it just like resets after 1 turn cycle or whatever. So we'll just bounce the Birds of Paradise and no tax with Esper and Sego. And I'm at 18.
So we got 18 to 20?
Yeah, you're good.
You're off return. I will play a Misty Rainforest. I'll crack this fetch, go to 19.
Right. I have you at 19 currently.
Yeah, I missed the first fetch, so I'm at 18.
Okay, 18 all. God, it feels so good to play with physical cards, man.
Not bad.
I'm so ready for us to come back. I just want to beat everyone up on the SCG tour. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. It's so good.
Okay. And then I'm gonna pass the turn.
Yeah, I figured. All right, end of turn, we're gonna activate.
So this could be a Thalia, which would prevent me from cording for 4. I would have to cord for 3. But honestly, I'd rather I could even just hit the Thalia with the Huntmaster if I really wanted to. I don't have my deck like fully memorized.
Yeah, it's hard when you have a bunch of tutor targets and stuff. I mean, while you're shuffling right now, you could take a gander if you want, just to give you a better idea.
I've got my list over here.
That's true.
That helps. Memorizing an 80 card deck list with like 15 one-ofs is a tough toughie. But when I could get that one is a neat one. That is a neat one indeed.
Clock.
Yeah, I'm just gonna let the vial resolve.
All right, dodge the counter and everything.
That is fine.
Yeah, I know. May I untap?
Yeah, trigger Huntmaster of the Fells.
Yep.
So your vial trigger goes on the stack first since you're active player, then my Huntmaster trigger, which is relevant if you.
I have a response.
Oh, because you have a Phantasmal Image? Ah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Huntmaster trigger on the stack.
Yep.
Activate.
Yep.
All right, I will put this into play. Copy Reflection Mage, target Huntmaster of the Fells, and trigger this to get a counter.
Yep. I will chord for 3 in response.
Would you like to pay 1? Or 2, actually.
Or actually, oh yeah. No, you can draw a card.
All right, so let's draw a card off the Esper Sentinel.
I could have convoked an extra one and paid 1 with a land.
Okay, and this chord for how much?
3.
Okay, chord for 3 resolves.
Okay, I'll get Magus of the Moon.
Magus of the Moon. Okay, cool. Play a Horizon Canopy. Didn't expect that. Now my lands are kind of dead, but we'll play another Lieutenant that we ripped off the top like a true champion.
Where is this Magus of the Moon? I know it has art that I'm not familiar with, so...
All right, a little smoosh. I wonder if I should... I probably should have cracked these canopies and whatnot.
You have no hand?
No, just block my Noble Hierarch and kill me next turn, so we can go to the next game.
Yeah, because I have birds and then the 2 cards that kill you, which is Red Source,
Well,
Kiki.
why does birds matter?
Well, you knew about that.
Oh, yeah.
You knew there were 2 unknowns, but and then the 2 cards that kill you.
Okay.
So this is 7. Yeah, I can...
You block Noble.
I can block Esper.
They're the same. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
For some reason, Noble was 3 power, but it's fine.
Yeah,
You can block
so-
3 power, not die.
Take
Lands
10.
goes up.
Have the Kiki. Oh, this should have been in my hand.
Yeah. So, if for those unaware, it's not necessarily new, but it's been a while since Kiki Exarch was a thing. Kiki makes a copy of a creature. Receiver Exarch, when it enters the battlefield, can tap or untap a permanent. Use the copy to untap Kiki. Rinse and repeat. It's infinite.
Yeah.
GG.
And if you've seen the art on Imperial Recruiter from Modern Horizons 2, it has Pestermite and
Yeah, which is garbage.
Kiki in the
Trash.
background.
Trash
But,
tier. Give me that Exarch. Question?
You know, there was a time when Pastor Kiki was a thing before Exarch was a card.
That's true.
I lost to it in the top 8 of an extended PTQ when my opponent mulliganed to 4 in game 3.
Brutal.
And they just turned 4, or they had twin, not Kiki, but they just killed me on turn 4.
Yeah, that deck did that.
I tapped out for a Kitchen Finks with a mana leak in my hand. Well, it's because they didn't have a red source yet to play, so they just drew the Cascade Bluffs.
Oh, rip.
Yeah.
Dude, Cascade Bluffs got me so good sometimes.
I was like, I just want to put some pressure on them, so I tapped my 1 creature, and I was like, yeah, I'll never tap out again.
Yeah.
I was right, I never tapped out again.
Not like this.
I also never untapped.
Yeah.
All right. So from One of the Dark, Todd, since
Yep.
you're playing a Vial deck, have you put some thought into Asmore? Not that Asmore goes into humans, just saw the Vial and was reminded.
Oh, that is cool. I didn't even think about Asmore being a CMC.
Oh, you're talking about Asmore with the food?
Yeah, but it's a CMC 0 creature, so you just have to play Vial and put it onto the battlefield, and then search for
yeah.
your artifact.
It is a human, though, isn't it?
It is a human wizard.
The problem is if you don't draw Vial, and if you like draw Vial and then Vial up to 1 and draw it, it's dead. Right, you just don't have. You'd have to play a different humans variant with ways to discard cards.
Yeah,
like
well, you can
Seasoned
play.
Pyromancer or something.
What's the 2-drop that has the black kind of? It's like black red and 2, but it's a 2-mana 2/2 that discard 1, draw 1. You know,
that card's so bad though.
It is, but
There's got to be better options.
I think the big thing is that if you don't have ways to use the kitchen sink or whatever it's called,
The Underworld Cookbook.
The
Yeah,
Underworld Cookbook.
that card seems like not a card for humans. That's a different deck.
Yeah,
But that doesn't necessarily mean
I've
that's
got a
not a
brew with
Vial
it.
deck. So.
I've got to brew with it.
All right.
You're probably going to see it next week because it's not in line for tomorrow's show, but I like it. It looks cool to me.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's
I'm talking about
definitely
the
underrated.
Yeah.
Like that, everyone's like, "Oh, that cookbook sucks." I'm like, man, have you seen what a single like cauldron familiar or cauldron whatever cat cauldron? Just the way that deck uses all the stupid clue token or food tokens. Sorry, I'm getting flustered. It is roughly 90 degrees in this room, so apologies.
Yeah. Small room, lots of people, lots of lights.
Yeah. All right, I
Lots
am
of pressure. Adrenaline.
not that much. I'm
coursing
up
through
a
your
match.
veins.
I'm good.
Okay.
Dude, being back though, this feels nice. This feels right.
Roanoke without Todd it wasn't the same.
Well, that's honestly one of the sweetest things anyone's ever said to me. So thank you. All right, I'm on 6. I mulliganed a 0 lander.
You already looked at hand and mulligan and shuffled again. I haven't even gotten to my 7.
Well, I know I am making sure that the game stays base. All right, so this 6 is 2 Thali, Garden, Thraben, and 5 land.
That's not very good.
It's also it's not good. So that was going back too.
Yeah, my 7 is a 1-lander with no mana creature, so that
all right, question me, bro.
Okay. Can any of you actually pronounce the name?
No, but I
full
watched
name.
the video where Gavin tried to 1,000 times and failed. It was very funny.
I got it.
Okay, let's go.
Asmore Califragilisticexpialidocious.
No, it's not what it is.
So I thought it was actually Ascamurda blah blah blah. I'm pretty sure if you wrote Ascamurda blah blah on a deck list, it would be fine. No one would care. So just to write Asmo and then literally 1,000 more letters, and
isn't
you're
it
good.
just the song from the bar scene in Animal
Whoa,
House?
Black Betty,
Yeah, it's like Asmore Shamalama Ding Dong. You're singing Black Betty.
Right, but
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever. You get it. It's a joke.
Asmo Ramajammer.
I once tried to karaoke that song and it was a disaster. So like the software they were using, the screen, like the words didn't come up until right as you were supposed to sing them. So I didn't get to quickly scan them right beforehand, and I didn't know the song well enough. It was bad, really bad.
All right. This is not a matchup where Esper Sentinel is going to shine. This is actually, I'm actually okay testing matchups where cards like Esper Sentinel is bad because I want to see how bad it is in its worst state. And it's going to shine against like your prowess decks, your delver decks, like things that have to kill it, or else you just get to draw a card every turn are kind of nutty. But when I mulligan into 5 here, obviously I can just put it on the bottom. So we're going to put that on the bottom. And then I have 3 land and 3 creatures, and I kind of have to decide what I want my direction to be. And I don't think Meddling Mage is that good. He just has a million things. So I'm just going to put it on the bottom, even though I don't have another 2-drop. I'm going to keep this 5-er.
I'm keeping my 6 and just putting the expensive card on the bottom.
Go.
I will go to 18 and play a birds.
Yeah.
Pass the turn.
Oh, right on time. Human, go. It's not always human. Sometimes it's illusion when you're casting Phantasmal Image. I cannot wait to gut shot your Bird's Parrot after sideboard. Gut shot out of the sideboard of humans is my favorite thing. I don't know that there is a better feeling than killing a mana creature in humans for 0 mana.
Crack fetch, go to 17.
Except maybe spreading seas on a Tron piece on the play on turn 2, and they didn't have a map. That might be better, actually.
Hey, Magus of the Moon.
I mean, those guys in the deck.
1.
All right, game 3.
Well,
I cracked the fetch for the mountain here because the island's obviously in my hand, but I wanted to crack the fetch so Ren in 6 after I killed your champion and would be able to get a land back.
Duh. Okay, we're gonna take a short break and we're gonna go sideboard. Get some cool sideboard cards in the deck. Don't go to. We'll be right back. More fun live. All right, we're back here for sideboarding. From my side of things, since I got absolutely clapped in the first 2 games, we're going to be cutting some of our cards that are good against spell-heavy decks, like instant sorcery-heavy decks. Esper Sentinel, even though it's the card we're trying to test, it's not good in this matchup, and I want to kind of give you all the true blue, what I would do 100% of the time in this matchup, and it would be cut Esper Sentinel. That doesn't mean it's bad, it's just not good here. Thoughtful Guardian Thraben, similarly, one of the best cards in the deck, not that good here, only really affects like sideboard spot removal and Chord of Calling, but Chord of Calling is so trivial to make big. Because
I do have bolts and Ren and 6s in the main.
Yeah, so, but you know, it's not enough, I don't think.
Yeah,
so
I have 10 non-creatures in the main, I believe, and then 3 more on the board.
So what we're going to do is we're going to get a little more interactive ourselves. A couple dismembers can help break up his various combos, as well as kill troublesome creatures. Gutshot can slow him down for free off his mana dorks, and then Skyclave Apparition similarly brings some heat with it, being able to exile something and stick around.
Also can answer Ren and 6.
Yeah. Because we're being Skyclave Apparition, our Jegantha, it loses value as a companion, so we will just be removing that.
Could potentially play Deputy of Detention instead of Skyclave to keep Jegantha, but I think Skyclave is so much better that, you know, just get... But Jegantha is not worth the time.
It's Jegantha's like whatever. So.
Yeah, you're also Dismember stops you from it too.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
GG.
On my side of things, I'm bringing out whatever singletons are not particularly good and bringing in whatever interaction in my sideboard is good for a given matchup. In this case, it's spells that kill creatures. I've got some Flame Slashes here.
It's a heater.
Glenelander Archmage is really bad. Yeah, it's starting to see a little bit more play because it's a good answer to Storming Entity, because they often can leave up 1 spell. You know, they have a Lava Dart in the graveyard or something, or they have a mana up. And so Flame Slash is a nice one. So I have it here too, just, you know, comes in against creature decks.
4 damage for 1 mana with no bells and whistles is just not some, like, Flame Slash is unique in that regard, right?
Yeah.
Like every other type of spell that does about that much damage for that much mana has, like, you have to delve, or you have to sack a creature, or you have to do something. And Flame Slash is just tried and true blue. It's good, baby.
It has seen a lot of play over the years, you know, killing Thought Seer, killing Thing in the Ice, killing Spellskite in matchups where that's relevant. So yeah, they're coming in here. The Glenelander Archmage is clearly the worst card in the deck in this matchup. Really great tutor target for any control matchup or combo deck that's non-creature spell heavy. I've decided to get rid of both graveyard cards. We considered cutting the Spellskite. I think if I was sideboarding against your game 1 configuration, I would leave in Skoos. But because you're bringing in a lot more interaction in the post-board games, I'd rather have the Spellskite so I can more reliably set up my combo.
Yeah.
I also considered bringing in Spreading Seas. You know, this is a card that has historically been reasonable in the Humans matchup.
You just made me embarrassed when you cast turn 2 Magics to the Moon, and Spreading Seas is pretty similar. And if you target like a land like Horizon Canopy or something, like I don't think I can necessarily use the blue mana every time. And also you you cycle and whatever, but it depends on if you have like an actual dead card in your deck. But most of your cards are just kind of fluid, versatile, and powerful. Like that's your kind of deck is just like this big tutor engine or whatever.
You're right. I did not have enough cards I didn't want in order to bring in Spreading Seas. You know, it's not going to slow you down a ton. You do have some uses for the blue mana. You know, you can sink it into Dismember, you can sink it into Meddling Mage, Reflector Mage.
Yeah.
So, you know, usually good as part of some other package. Here, it's in my sideboard because I'm a Yorion deck. So it's, you know, Disruptive Card against Tron and big mana strategies that you can, you know, blink with Yorion.
Do you have 1 Restoration Angel in the deck to do cool blinky tricks with?
I'm a Temur deck, so no.
Sure, but like you could always play like 1 Sacred Foundry and then
I just have a Yorion in the main if I want to do blink tricks.
That's fair.
You know,
The Imperial Recruiter blink is like always super juicy.
Yeah, but you also can't find Restoration Angel with it.
Sure, no, that's fair.
But if you want to double up on something, I do
like
have a Phantasmal Image, so you can find that and double up on Recruiter that way.
Let me see Phantasmal. I'm playing 4.
Yeah.
All right, what you got for me, Dan the Man?
All right. From Slay DFTW, is there an Enchantress deck in the format?
Yes.
Now they just showed previewed a Suspend to Replenish.
Yeah, I don't know about the Replenish specifically being like a part of that combo, but like the 2 mana, whenever you play an enchantment, draw a card and gain a life, the Enchantress that they made looks juicy. I'm excited about that one. And there was
being a 1/2 is so huge.
There's also, I don't know how many of those like types of cards are in the format because I haven't really brewed an Enchantress deck in a while, but I know that there's a white Enchantress type card in Time Spiral block. It was a Verdurant Enchantress color shift to white.
Yeah.
But
Mesa Enchantress. I
Mesa
think is the name of
Enchantress.
it.
Those are the only two I can think of in Modern, other than just like Core Spirit Dancer, like doing Bogles type tricks or whatever. But that's not really the same type of deck, I don't think.
For a deck that linear and, let's face it, a little bit underpowered, I really wanted to wait for the entire set so we had every resource available. So that's going to be coming to you next week.
So Core Spirit Dancer, Shram, and this Green-White Enchantress as a core for a non-Bogles version of Bogles, right? Where you just go protection spells with Karamich's Blessing, very similar to the ones that we see in Pioneer and in Historic. I think that with Lurrus as like a backbone could just be its own deck, like act very similarly to the old Heroic decks, but just be Enchantress-based with spell protection instead of inherent hexproof.
Interesting idea.
The life gain can offset some of the aggressive decks that can punish you, and they all you just have up to 12 creatures that whenever you play a freaking one mana enchantment, draw a card. I don't know. All right, how's your hand? I hope it's bad.
Yeah, ultimately just 2 mana land. I've got both my Wall of Roots, only the 1 land. If you kill my birds with anything, I'm dead. If this was a fetch land, it would have been more tempting because you got the Wren. So I just need to draw the 1 land. Obviously, I have a fetch land on top.
You just don't play bird decks very often, do you? I would have kept that 1000% special.
When you play bird decks, if you miss your land drop after playing a Birds of Paradise, that's horrible.
Right, but you have multiple Wall of Roots, so like you can coast, right? Like against a removal heavy deck, you can't keep that hand. But against humans, where I have maybe some gut shots and dismembers after sideboard, but nothing else on 1 and 2, I think like on the draw, you can keep a hand that's like land, bird, 2 other 2-mana accelerants. Obviously, if you brick and I kill your bird, the game ends. So like there's a very real possibility that keeping that hand is bad. But at the same time, I think the probability is higher that you just draw out of it or your hand's just fine.
There's also just the potential of me bricking and you having pressure. Yeah. And I'm just developing really, really slowly.
Right, but pressure in the form of, some dorks or whatever that aren't Reflector Mage means that your Wall of Roots actually gain value of playing defense.
Yeah, but I'm also not that concerned about card advantage in this matchup. I'm going to win the end game against you either by assembling the combo or Yorioning a bunch. So I am much more concerned about early development.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I would have kept.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's right.
Corey would have kept about 80% of the hands I mulligan on versus live.
Sure. London Mulligan changed the game, but I think it changed the game for some very specific linear stuff, and it just alleviated some of the pressure of mulligans off of like normal decks or whatever. And your deck seems like relatively normal. Mulliganing with a mana dork deck though is pretty tough sometimes. Because there's such diminishing returns on them.
Okay, very easy keep here and pretty easy card to put back.
All right, 19 me.
Okay, I have a Highland Forest.
I'm
an Icefang Coatl deck, so I have 1 dual forest in case I need to supercharge them.
Gas. Too bad I don't have crack it open or whatever it's called. Break the ice. Crack a lack. Crack attack. Whack a flack. You get it. Just saying words.
I will play a Scalding Tarn and pass the turn.
All right. 1 goes to 2, 1 stays 1. Y'all change that?
Mm-hmm. These are used for loyalty and -1/-1 counters. White's used for everything else. It's been true for years, Todd.
Not with these WoW.
No, it's been like that for
that's fine.
Literal years.
I'm just saying, I think Aether Vial was different. I don't know why.
No, Aether Vial wasn't.
That's fine. I'm just saying, I think.
Okay.
I think. All right.
Okay.
I'm going to cast Meddling Mage. Would you like to respond?
Yes. I think it's pretty clear that I have Icefang Coatl in hand, and that would be a card that Todd would name. So I'm going to get the Snow-Covered Island. I can start building towards the Death Touch.
Okay.
And cast this. And then you can name whatever you want. Any card.
I'm going to name Imperial Recruiter.
That's a good one.
This is going to sound a little stupid / weird, but I kind of want to hit land drops a little. So I'm going to main phase, copy this, and draw a card. Go. It also just gets a body, creates a little bit of velo.
Yeah, I don't mind that. So I draw off my Coatl.
Do you have a little thing that says what the card named, like anywhere? I know that we used to have that on the...
Not on here.
That's fine. All right. If anyone asks, Imperial Recruiter.
Don't forget that, chat.
All right, and I am at 17.
You're at 17 and I'm at 19?
Yeah.
Okay, I will play Misty Rainforest and play a Walrus.
Okay.
Pass the turn.
Okay. 1 goes 2, 1 goes 3. Draw for turn.
This is the game where I wish I brought in the Collector Oof, but it's just not relevant often enough.
I'm gonna go to 15. I'm gonna Reflector the Walrus. Oh wait, this is gonna get what you calls it, right? Ah, that's actually not that big of a deal, I don't think. How's this? And do I offer the trade? Do I care? The Meddling Mage survives? Like if he goes Imperial Recruiter for something, I don't even think that's that big of a deal. Like he obviously is gonna be able to fetch and give that Death Touch, right? So
Yeah, it's 3 others.
you know what? Screw it. Like, bounce this dude.
Lieutenant. That's scary.
Yeah.
An attack for 4.
Yep.
Yeah, I go to 15.
Go.
And step, I'll go to 14.
Yep. Now he can't play Quaddle on his main phase, but he can play it on my upkeep or anytime on my turn because of the cycling thing. So it's not the greatest in the world, but it allows me to attack for 3. He still can't play Imperial Recruiter, so assembling the infinite combo is going to be a little bit harder. And I just have a massive amount of pressure on the table. So my goal is to essentially hit him on all fronts so that I kind of overwhelm him. And there's no one thing that gets him out of it. He's going to need a combination of things. Like on his turn, if he goes Flame Slash plus Ice Fang Quaddle, that's pretty bad for me, right? Like that's the 1-2 punch that can maybe get you out of it.
I think with the way my mana is, I need to get the Ketria Triome here. We'll find another snow mana.
Maybe. Snow plus Kiki Jiki seems tough.
I mean, we're an 80 card deck, so.
Fair enough.
I have 14 fetch lands. I have 2 Vistas.
Oh yeah, sure.
And then it's not many shock lands, if I remember correctly.
I don't know why they call it Vista View. Ain't no Vista, ain't no view.
But blue's also a pretty light splash, actually.
All right, first person to say the name of the movie I just quoted in chat wins. I'll give him a clap.
What was the quote again?
I don't know why they call it Vista View. Ain't no Vista, ain't no view. Movie stars 2 just phenoms of the 90s.
White men can't jump.
Yep.
I got a Waterlog Grove.
Wesley Snipes'
I do have a Flame
wife
Slash.
or female interest.
And
Jeez.
I will
Congrats
hit
to
the Meddling
Gratho for the clap.
All right, Meddling Mage.
Yeah, they're both 3 power.
Dead.
And then I will pass the turn.
Upkeep. Okay. Okay, leave these. Draw. All right, let's mush.
Before you declare, I'm going to play Exarch and tap the image and kill it. Go to 13.
Okay, so you're 13. There's nothing I can really do about that. Okay, we'll attack with these.
Block Reflector Mage.
All right, I'm gonna trick you with this and get you.
Okay.
So if I attack with Thaw's Lieutenant there, Ross knows that I have something to save this. But by just attacking with these, he thinks this may be safe, and then I get to, yeah, it's minuscule, but it feels good to get him.
I'll
So you
take
take
4.
4, you're at 9.
9.
You're to go. And he would have just blocked this if I attacked with these because he would have assumed that it was something, maybe like that.
I'll take 1 to 8.
Okay.
Play Ice Fang.
Mm-hmm.
Flame Slash the real Thalia's Lieutenant.
In response, I'm gonna Go to 14 and draw a card. Yep. All right. Did.
And then I'll go to 7 and play Wall of Roots.
All right.
And I will pass the turn.
All right. GG.
I'm dead?
Yeah. Of course you're dead.
From 7?
Yeah. Todd's Lieutenant, dismember this. GG.
Okay. Gonna have a pretty good follow-up, I think. If I had not blocked with Exarch and tried to just go for the combo, Todd had the image.
I had dismember too.
Sure. Yeah. It's just a situation of the humans deck getting very low on resources and drawing pretty well off the top.
Oh, yeah. That felt good. Smooth. All right, so that was game 3. We got plenty of time, right? Because one of our games was turn 2 Magus GG. Oh, I guess there's only 10 minutes. You'll try to play one more for rubber, or do you want to just take the dub?
I kind of really like the last couple decks that we have. So why don't we just try to extend that one? So that one will be a best of 5.
That sounds fun.
So we saw a lot of what these decks can do.
Yeah, humans is kind of like, it didn't really get a ton of upgrades. Like the big thing that I wanted to showcase was Esper Sentinel. And we did board it out, so I have like very little investment in humans. Otherwise, it's just humans. Like it didn't really change a ton. Sanctifier Invect is a card that we saw get brought in the first match in the Esper Blink deck. I think humans is where it's going to shine. As a human, having protection from black and red, I think it's just going to supplant Arak Champion. Like the one life you gain whenever they play a creature or you play a creature wasn't the draw of it. It was having protection from every removal spell from Death Shadow. Yeah. And Death Shadow started playing Kozilek's Return as a result, but like they only have a couple. It's not like they always have it. And this card just broke.
Excuse me. Yeah. This card also stops the flashback of Lava Dart, which is, look, that's a significant thing in a deck, in a matchup where Lava Dart is usually really, really good.
Do you think this is just main deckable? Like this card, like people have main decked Arak Champion before, and I've been like okay with it or whatever. Yeah. And I think this card as main deck fodder or whatever is probably just great.
If it's weekend 1 this weekend, and you're expecting a lot of people to just jam their Izzet Prowess deck again, I think that card's very main deckable.
All right, let's hit like 2 questions, and then we'll move to the third round.
Yeah.
Let's start with MOC Barashin. What are your thoughts on Sanctum Prelate?
We talked a little bit about it before we started the last game, I think. And long story short, it doesn't hit very hard. Your 3-drop spot in humans is really where the meat of the deck starts to come together, and you want to rely on your 2-drops. And now I guess your 1-drops with Esper Sentinel to provide some of that disruption. With that said, there's a good chance that it's good. It's great in Legacy.
I think it is excellent. I think you're underselling the card by miles. I think it's, it's incredible, again, against the Prowess decks. You just name one.
Yeah.
If you do that in game 1, the game's over.
Sure, but I don't disagree. I just think that it'll be good in, like, week 1, and then all the decks that are getting hosed by it are just going to start playing, like, the Delve Deal 5 thing. That
okay, so humans gets to play against a bunch of decks that aren't maxing out on 1-mana removal? That sounds great. I would love to be able to do that if I was a human sex.
Yeah,
so just
but
the threat of Sanctum Prelate is going to force that out of people.
But it costs...
You're not saying you're playing for them. You have 2 flex spots in the 3 slot.
No, I don't disagree. All right, there should probably be playing 2 in there somewhere. I don't know. Like Esper Sentinel, maybe you just cut down to 3 of them or something. And
you get to go name 5 against the Bring to Light decks. You get to name 4 if you're scared of Verdict.
I mean, it's a good card. I know what it does.
Yeah, it is. I think it's incredibly good. I think it's a card that is also being overlooked because it came so early in preview season, and it's also not brand new, and that's always going to lessen the hype around it. But I think the card is excellent. I think it's going to be significantly played in both humans and in Taxes style decks.
Sure. All right, next.
Sure. Bit of a segue from the Scoops McGee. Any chance that there might be a Goblin Bombardment brew hiding around somewhere? Maybe.
I was excited about our third deck. And I wrote about Goblin Bombardment 2 weeks ago, or last week. So that article is live now, and I've got a deck from that article in as my last deck of the day. It is, if you remember Sam Black's Legacy Zombie Bombardment deck, it is essentially a modern version of that.
I do. I do remember that deck. It was awesome.
Yes.
Sack of Gravecrawler, Blood Gas, just shooting off all your Nova Hierarchs and Glistener Elves and stuff. Man, it was good. All right, well, we're going to take a short breather here and make sure we have all the cards, everything for our last matchup. I'm going to be, or should we just tell them what we're playing or no?
So, yeah, don't go super in depth.
Yeah, I'm playing Izzet Delver. Big shocker. I know. Me playing a Delver deck or whatever, right? So this version doesn't play the new something region. It's the new
Murktide.
Yeah, the
Water region, I think.
Murktide region.
Murktide?
A preview card.
yes, Murktide region is not in this version, but tomorrow I will be playing a mono blue version of Delver that plays 4 of them. So this one is just going to be a little more traditional, and then tomorrow I'm going to hammer it home, and we're going to see how good it is. But for now, it's just blue-red Delver. We're going to be playing against Zombie Bombardment. We're going to see how it goes, I guess.
We're going to take 7 minutes this time, and we will be back to finish out this Dan versus Live. Todd is playing for the Marbles for the first time in almost 2 years. Ooh. You're not going to want to miss it. Hello and welcome to Versus Live. I don't know what's going on.
Oh.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I thought something was horribly wrong.
Oh, no. Everything's perfectly fine. Ross didn't hit the marbles.
Welcome back to Versus Live. I'm Ross Miriam.
And I'm Todd Anderson.
And we've got Dan, the man in the van down by the river, in the booth.
Down by the river.
Van down by the river, Dan.
Yeah.
Van down by the river, Dan.
Dan will be taking all of your questions,
Why are you
comments,
torturing him
concerns,
like
and burns in the chat. You should have seen some of the things I've done to Rob. I started reciting poetry here and making him repeat it. It was great.
I feel like he would just quit after a while. If you're not careful, you know, settle down.
Rage against the dying of the light.
That was one of them.
So was it?
That was Dylan
that's
Thomas.
sick.
I like that one. We hit Lord Byron. I had a little. I like Elizabeth Barrett Browning.
Okay, come on.
Sylvia Plath.
Look, we have a lot of people waiting to watch these
Wilfred
cool
Owen
decks.
for Veterans Day.
I'm going to need you to stop talking about
I've only been
Shakespeare.
able to identify half.
Yeah. Make sure to tag at Star City Games so Dan could see those comments in the chat and send his favorites over to us.
Also, if you have any cool poetry lines that you want him to recite, make sure to just tag at Dan, hashtag Poetry Slam, and we'll get it on there.
And if you don't like poetry and you have complaints, make sure you get on Twitter and tweet that at Shaheen Sarani. He is the official Versus
Or
Live
Cedric.
complaint department.
At Cedric
Shaheen
Phillips.
is our complaint
No,
department.
she.
At Cedric A. Phillips.
You send Cedric all of your glowing reviews of everything that we do and, impugn him to pay us more money. That's what you send to Cedric.
Sure, but also you can just ask him how Dame Lillard got stuck on a team with 47 bozos, and he's just every time anyone talks about basketball, they're like we had a conversation the other day, and we were just like, who's someone you'd want to build a franchise around right now, like starting right now. 10-year franchise or whatever. Who's the player you would pick? And I know Dame is not the best, but Dame is the most exciting, in my opinion. So
yeah,
and he's young. Like he's still young.
No, he's like 29, 30 actually.
Whatever, dude. Shut up.
Been in the league 8 years, 9 years.
Shut up.
Been in Portland the entire time.
I don't know.
They made a conference finals 2 years ago.
I don't watch that much basketball.
He's really good though. That game last night, if you didn't catch it.
Why am I the one who's supposed to steer the ship here? Okay, all right. So we're playing Magic.
You're the one who started talking about basketball, okay?
I just wanted to needle Cedric, and he started giving me basketball facts. Hashtag basketball facts at Anime in the chat.
You got to know that if you start talking about basketball, that's like an invitation for me to rant about basketball.
All right, so match number 3. We're split 1-1. I won with my Esper deck that was awesome. I just kicked Ross's ass. Second match, you were playing your Temur Kiki Chord. We had 2 not very close games where you combo killed me or Magus of the Moon me on 2 and I died.
Magus and Birds, it's a combo.
Yeah, and then I had like a really powerful explosive game 3 with a lot of disruption. My hand was great. Now though, this is for the marbles. We're 1-1 in matches. I am playing Izzet Delver. Now, I have a couple of new cards in the deck. The one that I wanted to try out the most was Ragavan Nimble Pilferer. And I know that I'm not saying it right. It's Ragabon. Ragabon.
You got the stress right.
I'm just going to call it's Monka. Monka S. So we're playing the little Monka. He's the little monkey thief that hangs out with Karizev. Karizev is one of my favorite creatures in Pioneer for a long time because it was like the ideal 2-drop for Chunky Red. And
dodging all those wild flashes.
Yeah. But the thing I'm trying out of this deck is that Delver kind of needs another one. It really functions well when you start with a 1-drop creature, and Delver Secrets has never really had
Ragavan
much.
has its own card. Shouldn't Karizev just put a Ragavan attacking, right? Shouldn't that happen?
No, it creates a Ragavan token. It says so on the card.
Yeah, but it should get the trigger when it connects, and you should get a treasure and get to take.
Not everything is Gareth One-Eyed Snake. You know what I'm saying? So,
can we get that errata? Can we get a new Karizev that does that?
No.
Are you done? Okay. So I'm playing Blue-Red Delver.
I don't even know if I'm done.
We have 3 more Ragavans to team up with Delver of Secrets to kind of leverage those 2-mana interactive pieces. We're not playing Remand. I think Counterspell, when you just build your mana base in a certain way, just functions pretty well. We do have 4 islands, so maybe I should cut that down to 2 or 3 so that I can play 4 copies of Steam Vents, maybe another Fire Islet to make sure I can more consistently cast Ragavan. But the traditional builds of Delver over the last couple years, the Mystic Sanctuary builds or whatever, played like 4 island, and I like that kind of less pain in the mana base, but we'll see. We'll see.
Do you know how many red sources you have?
16. All the other lands have for it.
16 is fine.
I thought 16 was fine.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say like 12 and be like, yeah, that's doable, but a little low. But 16, yeah, that's plenty.
Fire Islet specifically, play more than 2. Like, you're just going to get paired against Burn sometimes and just take too much damage.
And with Archmage's Charm and Snapcaster Mage, you actually use extra land drops reasonably well. Like, you're not going to need to sack Fire Islet a ton. So yeah, I think 2 is a good number.
It could be Sulfur Falls, but just not having an untapped red source on one.
I love it. I think your mana base is spot on. That's probably exactly how I would have built it.
Yeah, but yeah, Counterspell's the reprint that everyone's super excited about. I know Corey played it a bunch. You probably played it a few times in the last couple weeks, but it feels like it's been legal a long time already because it's just been previewed for a long time, and we've been playing it on Versus a bunch. But this is Delver with Counterspell and Ragavan.
I think Ragavan is actually a really big part of this, giving you another really strong threat, and it snowballs incredibly well. Super excited to see how that card plays out. Like I said before the break, this is a Goblin Bombardment deck inspired by Sam Black's old Legacy brew. So it is zombies. I have Gravecrawler. Bloodghast is an honorary zombie, but Sam didn't have access to Stitcher Supplier. It was not a card at the time.
Oh my god, that would have been so good.
Yeah, so it is a great addition here, but I don't have access to Cabal Therapy and Faithless Looting. So,
fair enough.
Call it a wash.
We'll call it a wash.
I also get access to Undead Augur, so I can draw a bunch of cards when I'm sacrificing my creatures. Still have those carrion feeders, but we're just going to try to, mill our library. One thing I will say is I'm playing 4 copies of Collective Brutality and 2 Crypt Breakers, just so I have enough ways to, replace those Faithless Lootings to make sure I get cards from my hand into my graveyard when I draw those Bloodghast and Gravecrawlers. Collective Brutality should be great in this matchup. So.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. All right, so I lost the second match, so I will be on the play for game 1. I will keep my hand. It's pretty good.
I have an okay hand, but I'm going to keep...
All right, so I think it's important to use fetch lands early when you're casting Serum Visions so that you can guarantee that your 2 stack is kind of hot.
I didn't have an answer to a Ragavan on turn 1, and I was just so glad when I saw that Serum Visions.
Great. Exactly what I want to hear. I wish I had it. I wish I had it or a Delver always, but, Serum Visions hopefully draws into it. Let's draw a card. I'm at 17.
When I'm on the draw, I don't have a ton of ways to answer it. I can play a Stitcher Supplier and hope to block, and you have a ton of ways to remove it, though if you do, I get extra value. Mm-hmm. And I have 3 bolts in my main deck, because I wanted to play 4 Collective Brutality. How did you describe it?
1 top, 1 bottom.
Okay.
There was a land in there that I didn't need, but the top card is Okie Dokies, Artichokes.
Okay, I'm going to play a Gravecrawler and pass it.
Go.
I will attack you for 2.
15.
I
have a lot of tricky stuff in my deck, so I'm going to try not to give away what I have by talking about it too much.
I feel like there's like some sort of counter there, but I also don't think this Tidehollow Sculler is going to live through a counter, so I'm just going to go for the biggin and play this Goblin Bombardment.
All right, I'm going to opt in response and look for Force Negation. Top card is a Snapcaster Mage. That's probably good enough. Whatever. Okay.
And then I will sacrifice Gravecrawler. Get that Delver out of here.
All right, so this is going to look super weird, but I swear I can explain. Scalding Tarn costs $1,000, and Star City has 3. So, here we go. That's all I got. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just, fetch a island. I'm at 14.
Okay. 0, 14. I'm going to play a Silent Clearing and go to 19 and play a Tidehollow Scholar.
I'm going to counter it.
That's what I thought might happen.
Now, the interaction between Tidehollow Scholar and Gravecaller is pretty sweet because it's a zombie.
Yep.
So I'm at 14 from the fetch, and I'm just going to Archmage's Charm it.
Yep. And then I'm going to play a Crypt Breaker and pass the turn.
All right, I need a removal spell quick. Oh, no, I don't!
You're going to steal it?
I'm going to try to, but you're just going to sack it. But it's better than letting you get something cool.
Yeah, sack it to Bombardment, deal you 1.
Yep.
So you're at 13.
Go. Bombardment is particularly rough against me. I have a lot of creatures with 1 toughness. In fact,
Now I will play Undead Augur.
I'm pretty sure I just lose now.
And I will replay this Gravecarl.
Yep.
So I'm going to go to 18 from the Silent Clearing. You opted, and then I'll pass the turn.
Bombardment. All right, you win.
Oh, man, I had all these blood gas.
I want to try to get a best of 5. Let's keep it clean. Because I want to win the marbles, but like, if you 3-0 me, then good. That's fine. But we're not doing no, you know.
If Todd has a spell snare for or a force for that Bombardment, that game's completely different. I also ripped it for that turn, so good job, me.
Yeah, that's fine. I could have held Brazen Bar up instead of playing the Delver and just like bounced something into turn, and maybe just like leverage some board position.
And then had Charm up.
But I had Opt and Delver, and I thought, well, I wouldn't have had Charm. I would have had Charm up on 3 for whatever. But yeah,
after bouncing when I played on 2.
But like you have so many cheap things in your deck that sitting on my hands too much with Brazen Bar is just kind of lackluster.
Yeah, I would have just started playing other stuff.
All right, 23, 6, 7. All right, I'm gonna keep mine.
Gonna keep his, he says.
So while he's shuffling, I have a question that I almost.
Hand, Todd.
I'm waiting. Look. I want to get a best 5 in. I'm not joking. You know.
So this is a quick one. So I almost missed this question because it got caught by our
The filter.
Our filter. So Diabetes asks, "What do you guys think about Damn?"
Oh damn.
Do you know this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Damn is an interesting card that spits in the face of history. I like it in theory I like it in practice and hate it in theory.
Yeah. That said, like, I think a lot of times the decks that play Wrath of God are not going to be decks that can play Damn. Like, I'm trying to think of like what are the decks where this card replaces. I think the card that actually.
Mardu.
Yeah.
Mardu and Orzhov basically just get Wrath of God that's infinite, like literally infinitely better. It's only worse against Spell Snare or Chalice on 2.
Oh man, spell staring a 4-mana Wrath of God.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
That's a juicer.
Why did you have to tell me about that? Now I'm so distracted.
We all know what happens when Ross gets distracted. He just keeps shuffling forever. It's just stuck in a loop.
I'm mulligan to Zero Lander there. It had a bauble, but
ooh. Classy 1-land bauble or no land bauble.
Yeah.
All right, one more if you got one.
Let's see. So, not a question, but Tannen Grace is watching with bated breath to see how good this version of Izzet Delver is.
This version, I think, just would probably gain a lot from just playing Thoughtscour and the big Delve guy, but we just had our list set in stone for today already, so it's unfortunate. But tomorrow I'm going to be playing it in a mono blue Delver that I think is actually really good, and we're actually pitting it against Domain Zoo, so like a really hard matchup. So if I beat that deck, I think that deck's nuts.
Not a good hand, but it's a keep on 6.
All right, 17 Serum.
Yeah, so that's a Scalding Tarn in your graveyard. That's
Yeah.
upside down.
Yeah, or similar.
Yeah. Both on the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sold on Spell Pierce yet. I thought it would be like good alongside having more 1-drops.
I guess I'll bauble you. Okay, another Scalding Tarn. Pass, draw, and upkeep. Awkward.
Vagabond. Here you go. I hope this thing survives. That'd be so juicy.
Brutality, trying to kill Ragavan and dressing you. That's great crawler.
Oh my god! How does it feel? How does that feel?
So you're at 16?
Because to me, I think I'll have what I'm having. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let's see this stupid little death right monkey goes. All right, you want to cut? No,
No, you're good.
Draw.
Yep.
Let me see your top card. You're at
You want a Bloodstained Mire?
18s. Okay, it's non-land.
Cast.
But I do get a treasure token, which
Yeah.
I'm not
I'm at 18.
sure are over here.
We gotta have treasures somewhere.
Yeah, but you know,
Did you bury him?
might have buried them. All right, well, I have a treasure
I'm
token.
supposed to be the one who's Ross Barium.
Ross Barium? Oh, that's a pretty good nickname.
Yeah.
Hey.
It's my name when I play Golgari. Okay, well, I'll give you a clue for now. Dan will get you a treasure.
Okay,
Can't sack that one for a card, though.
that's fine. Backwards cards would do. So I have like a tough. I guess I should just look through that stack, huh? I have a tough go
Dan.
here because I'm
Dan's
not.
on it.
I could like main phase play a draw spell to try to hit a land drop, or I can just like hold up a bevy of 3-mana plays or combination plays. I'm just gonna say go. I just want to be as reactive as possible now that I have Ragavan on the battlefield. Yeah, and one treasure will be enough, and I'll just put some counters on it if I get an extra one.
I'll go to 17 for Silent Clearing and play Scholar.
All right. So you had to play the clearing. I don't know if he's going to have anything super juicy for 1 mana. With that said, I do have multiple ways to play around some stuff, but I can't play around a bunch of like 1 mana stuff and get rid of the Tidehole Scholar. I'm just going to... Do I even want to counter it? Not really. He's just going to take my bolt if I don't, and the Vapor Stack's not very good against it, so... Alright, we'll counter it.
Okay, then I have a Carrion Feeder.
Yeah, okay.
Pass the turn.
Sure, man. Whatever. I'm going to attack you with Deathrite Shaman. This card's so stupid. Oh, my lord.
So you don't have black and white,
Not yet.
but it's only this turn that you get to cast.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Look,
So I'm at 15.
I'm making mana. It's Deathrite Shaman is
Yeah.
what I'm saying. You know? 15.
Yeah, it's like you get to activate Deathrite Shaman and, for both abilities.
Right. Go.
Okay. I will take 1 for Tidal Scholar. 14.
In response, I'm going to bolt this.
That is fine.
Play a Snapcaster Mage and target bolt. And then your stupid thing resolves.
I will take the Vapor Snag, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's just going to die.
Yep.
But I'm going to go to 12, and I've got a Brutality to kill the Ragavan.
Okay. All right, in turn, bolt that, get back Vapor Snag.
I didn't want to give Corey or give Todd the information by playing the Foundry first, which would have saved me a life because I can use this for white and then tap with Urborg on the clearing. So I cost myself a life to give take away some information. But
I'm going to play an op main phase. We'll keep the top one. Play a Scalding Tarn and attack for 2.
I'm at 10. We'll see if the point matters.
Go. 16-10?
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and fetch while you're tapped out and not have anything going on. I'm at 15.
Todd, sir, exile that bolt, please.
Yes.
Yes, sir. We'll do.
I will play a Tidal Scholar.
Hey, you keep drawing that, huh? Okay.
I will. Think I would. I think I'd rather force you to bolt it, so I'll take the snag, and then I'll play Gravecrawler from my graveyard.
All right, because I can't do it with trigger on the stack.
Yep.
Rip.
Pass the turn.
Okay, I'll bolt it. Attack.
I'm at 8.
Go.
Bauble.
Mhm.
You have a fetch. I mean, you're going to fetch after I bauble, right? So I guess I'll still just bauble you.
Okay.
Sure. And then I will buy the Lurrus and attack for 2. So you're going to go to 12 after all is said and done?
I think it's 12.
Yeah.
It might be. Yeah, it's 12.
I do. So
right.
12 to 8. I have Lurrus in my hand, and I'm drawing on your upkeep.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Give me a
I
sec.
have bolts in my deck, so let me tap this for Urborg to get the Lurrus.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Leaving up Foundry is best because it taps or anything.
Okay.
You're thinking about snagging?
Yeah.
Snagging your own snap.
Yeah, and then go and like opt or bolt or something. But
you bolt me to 5, attack me to 3, get me in bolt range.
I'll just save it. I'll do it next turn.
Wait, I draw on your upkeep.
Yep. Pitch a 6.
Yep.
Play Delver. Say go.
That's what I saw, and then you fetched and drew it anyway.
That's how it goes. It's called poor human randomization.
Okay, well, let's attack for 2. That's obvious.
Yep. 10 to 6.
Yep. I guess I just have to hope you don't have something on top, because then whatever it is, you can snag the. I guess you can't do it all in one turn, because if you draw a spell and wait for that till your turn, you can't snag and then snap bolt. Okay, so I will start the turn with a Stitcher Supplier. I think that's better than. I could go Lurrus, Carrion Feeder, but yeah, I want blockers for snap, so play Supplier.
Yeah, that's fine.
And yeah, tap with Urborg.
Yep.
Play Lurrus, play Bauble.
Yep.
And there's no point in me bobbling on your turn. Yeah, so I will pass.
Okay, so if I Vapor Snag my Snapcaster and go Snap Bolt, put him to 3, any instant sorcery on top kills him with Delver. I can do the same thing next turn, but if the top card's another Snapcaster Mage, I can maybe just tag Lurrus here and get it out of the way, and then I'll put you to 5, and then a Vapor Snag or another Snapcaster Mage does it. I could just wait, but then if I draw Archmage's Charm, that's bad. All right, whatever. I'm gonna bolt you. I'm gonna go to 9.
You're gonna go to 9. I'll go to 3.
All right.
See it.
Come on, sweetness. Come on, darling.
An island. Okay. I guess no attacks.
Yeah, no, I'd die.
So on your end step, I'm gonna
should I just have killed Dolores, man? I don't know. That sucks.
bobble you.
Maybe I'm just not supposed to do anything in case I brick. Because if I brick, I could still just kill you.
No reason that I'm doing this at all. Not suspicious in any way.
Top card, Snapcaster. Cool. All right. Whatever.
Has an Archmage's Charm, which is pretty good. But I will draw on my upkeep.
Yeah.
I will then draw for turn. That was a heinous set of draws.
Well, that's good news. Can play Bobble or Undead Augur.
What I want to do is play the Stitcher Supplier and mill a Goblin Bombardment, and then play that with Lurrus.
Do it.
And
what else you got?
Take you to Browntown.
Yeah, let's go. I mean, you can still Undead Augur, right? It's not like that big a deal.
Oh, Undead Augur is a little awkward given that I'm at 3.
Sure.
And I don't really want to trade the Lurrus for your Snapcaster, but I might have to just to...
No, you should. To gain life.
Just to gain life. So, what are you doing with the Snapcaster? Probably just Archmage's Charming. But are you going to take a 1-drop? Probably not. I think you're just going to draw 2 cards and try to rebuild. But yeah, we're definitely going to start with Supplier.
Yeah, that's fine. Bolt, Swamp.
No help there.
Thank you.
Got no hand, so Sculler
There's no Carrion Feeder over there, is there? Oh, there is.
So
you could Carrion Feeder, but then you can't Bombardment if you do that.
But I do get a pretty big Carrion Feeder, and you're at 9.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that. So
okay.
Yeah, let's tap the...
I can also steal it. So
let's also...
Or is Carrion Feeder other creature, or can it sack itself?
It can sack itself.
Tilt.
So let's sack the Silent Clearing, since I don't need the mana for anything right now.
Okay.
So that does limit my ability to pump Carrion Feeder. It gives me 1 more draw at Bombardment, but I think at this point I'd rather just loop Carrion Feeder a bunch. And also make sure I can get it out of bolt range. So I know. Well, let's play the carrion feeder first. Yeah. Gotta make sure to do that first.
I just threw this game. I'm mad at myself.
And then I think I can get in with everything.
All right, we'll block Lurrus.
So I gain 3, you take 3. So you go to 6, I go to 6. And then I can play Marsh Flats and tap all these with Urborg, go sack once, replay, and sack 2 more times, and then replay once at the end. So I get 3 total.
Yep.
Yeah, you essentially just pay 1 mana for a counter. Now Carrion Feeder is a lethal threat. So I just force you to take it.
Yeah, I'm just going to snap charm it.
And
so
now...
Getting more value. If he wants to sack the Stitcher Suppliers to mill 3, I don't think I really care too much about that. That means he can't block Delver, so I get to attack for 1.
Yeah,
so
but it will allow me to hit other Gravecrawlers, and Bloodghast is the big hit. I got 4 Bloodghast in my deck. I haven't hit a single one.
Oh, you have Fetch Land in play, yeah, because that would work. Okay.
Yeah, I also have a land in my hand.
Sure.
So I kind of like that. I like sacking at least 1, because this is still a 2-turn clock. Right, so it's going to force a block at least in 2 turns. I also want to leave a zombie in play for the Gravecrawler that I have. So I think I sack 1 Stitcher Supplier.
Okay.
So we'll sack 1. Okay, we hit a Bloodghast, so that's cool. And then I'll sack the feeder to itself.
Okay.
Would you like to attack?
Nope.
Is that lethal?
Tilt.
Not quite, but it's very close. So,
damn.
I guess I can. We can actually start by sacking the Silent Clearing. So I'll do that. Why do I keep trying to tap Sacred Foundry when it's the best land I have? Sack Silent Clearing. That's got to be lethal. So I can't cast both.
Rush does the World's Fair every turn. I'm just like, come on, any sorcery.
Okay, I'm just gonna play Goblin Bombardment.
Yeah, you win.
Yeah, it's gotta be lethal. Like,
I don't know if it's lethal. It doesn't matter. I can't
play a land, return Bloodghast, kill a blocker, sack this, return Bloodghast, like attack, and then you have to block one of the 2-power things, and I can replay Gravecrawler until you. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, well, it was exactly lethal.
We got about how much time? We got 30 minutes. We might be able to play 3 games in 30 minutes if we're quick about it. Can we just take 3 minutes sideboard? Come back?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a quick break.
I'll get this Lurrus out of my deck that I shuffle in every time. Welcome back to Versus Live, where we are. Todd, you're supposed to set up the sideboarding first. Did you forget that?
Crap! Yeah, hold on. Let me go ahead and get my sideboard cards out. And yeah, all right.
I know it's been a while.
We're good.
Okay, so you put 15 cards in your sideboard, and you don't want any of them.
No, have you seen your deck?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's great, and also there's not a whole lot like it. So like, none of my cards do anything.
Didn't put any Soul God Lanterns in your deck?
No, we could have like some surgical extractions or whatever. I was more focused on beating things like Primeval Titan. I wanted a couple Blood Moons for Tron.
I don't even think surgical would be very good against me.
It's not, but like sometimes you get to snag a blood gas in a weird spot and it like changes the dynamic and it's free. So
I mean, I did like plunk in for a lot of damage with that first Gravecrawler, right?
Yeah, if I'm able to get rid of that permanently, it's always good. Like I think Blood Moon is the only card that I was considering, but it's too slow. Yeah. I just want to be on the play, try to get a 1-drop going, and just try to leverage my cheap counter spells to get there because my spot removal is pretty bad against you, my counter spells aren't that good against you, and my creatures all died of Bombardment. So.
Yeah. So, what Todd is saying there is the reason those cards aren't as good is because just as 1-for-1s, they're not going to be that good in this matchup because so many of my threats come back.
Yep.
So the way that you're going to make them good is the tempo that you gain. And that's why he needs those early 1-drops.
Yeah, and that's why Ragavan was so good in game 1. My hand was so reactive, or in game 2 rather. Like my hand was so reactive, like Archmage's Charm and Snapcaster, Spell Pierce, things like that. So like the turn 2 Ragavan was actually perfect setup with the Spell Pierce. You just ended up having like one of the cheap ways to interact with it in a spot where the shields were down.
You got a couple hits into it that you just didn't hit a good card. I think that was the big thing. If you gotten 1 or 2 good hits off of it.
One thing I want to say is I don't think that taking your opponent's stuff with Ragavan is anywhere close to where the strength lies. It's 100% the treasure token. Which is why I'm calling it Deathrite Shaman.
And it was so good that I figured I wanted to attack with it. So I'm bringing in Claim the Firstborn.
Okay.
When Todd says, I agree with Todd and his, summary of the matchup there. So that means I need to be bringing in removal. I'm bringing in my claims. I'm not bringing in the Vanishing Verses just because they're so slow. I already have a lot of 2-mana interaction. So just claims for a little bit more interaction. I'm not that concerned about generating a ton of card advantage in this matchup. I think I'm going to win the long game, even against Snapcaster Mage, Archmage's Charm.
Yes.
So I can trim some Undead Augurs. This card can be a liability if I fall behind, especially in multiples. So I still have 2 in the deck. When I want to find them, I can mill it, bring it back to Lurrus, or just draw it naturally. But trimming 2, getting a few more removal spells in the deck, just making a slight change in the complexion of my deck, a little bit more reactive, a little bit less of the engine makes a lot of sense in this matchup where my engine doesn't need to be 100% to win. If it's on 95%, that's perfectly fine.
All right, well, we're on the play and mission accomplished. We have a 1-drop.
Okay, let me shuffle my bolts to the top.
Okay.
It's a little awkward when you have Spell Pierce because I'm not sure if I want to bolt on my main phase and run into Force or bolt on your upkeep and run into Pierce.
You always play into Force, I think. Well, sorry. I mean, I guess it depends on the makeup. Like, Spell Pierce doesn't see that much play these days.
But once I know you have Pierce in your deck.
Right. I'm playing it specifically because on 2, I want to go 1-drop plus Spell Pierce. Like, normally the curve in an aggressive deck would be 1-drop into 2-drop, but the way that we've constructed our deck, I want to be able to go, like, Dig Spell or 1-drop into 1-drop protection or Dig Spell protection. And
especially Visions, where you can set it up with two cards on top, and then next turn make sure you have Delver that is flipping on turn 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff you can do.
All right, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm gonna try this one. It's a little bit more speculative, but
Delver. It's a fancy Delver.
Okay, that certainly helps.
One cool thing about Delver here is that I'm actually happy if there's a land on top because I'm landlight, or if there's a spell on top. The worst case scenario would be like another creature, I think.
I am going to go to 17 and play a Gravecrawler. Need to get a Blood Crypt here, unfortunately.
Okay. 17, 20?
Yeah, on your upkeep, I'm going to draw, and then you're going to check.
Not bad.
Yeah, when I've just fetch shocked, you're showing a lot of damage right now.
Now, here's where the game gets tricky, because I have a second Delver I can play, but no land. I can also play Opt and try to dig for the land, and then play the Delver and gamble a little on trying to blind flip. I can play Serum Vision and try to gamble a little bit by drawing a land, stacking the top of my deck, and then playing the Delver, but it doesn't work with fetch lands. I honestly think since I'm okay drawing a land, I just play the other Delver and just play a little Landlight for 1 turn and say go.
I'm at 14.
That way, if he does have the removal spell, he can't really deal with... I mean, he can deal with maybe 1, but I doubt he can deal with both.
Yeah,
18 me.
You're 18.
You're at 14.
Yes. And I have drawn pretty awkwardly.
Good. This is the game where if I lose, I'm dead. So give me them. I haven't wanted them for so long. I've been in Roanoke for about 2 months now, just salivating.
Yeah, I think I have to go for this turn. I'll take 1 and play Bombardment.
Jesus Christ.
Sack Gravecrawler to kill the OG Delver.
I wish I had a force negation ever, man. Maybe I should just play 4. I feel like I never run out of cards. Like I'm just always losing to the stuff I can't interact with on 2. I think Goblin Bombardment's messed up. Worst possible.
I'm at 10.
Go.
So I was always going to play Bombardment that turn. The question was which land I wanted to play. Okay, that was a good draw. And what happened was I drew basic Mountain, and I wanted to. It was whether or not I wanted to take a damage, but I also have Bloodghast, and I wanted to be able to play Bloodghast and have 2 sacrifices with a land drop afterwards. It cost me some points of damage, but it lets me deal with the Aberration. I mean, I'm going to 8 here, and I have no pressure.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm going to sack deal 1. Actually, but I did draw Blackcliff Cliffs. Return, sack deal with it, and then play Carrion Feeder, and then I'll pass the turn. So I am at 9, right? And I know you already have a bolt. So if you just draw a couple lands and have a snap, I'm almost dead. So now the question becomes, how quickly can I kill Todd?
Yep. The scoopage was more of a joke. But
the Mountain continuing to be incredibly awkward.
Does it continue to burn?
Well, it means I can't cast the 2 other good spells in my hand.
Ramparoni. Get back Lurrus, then.
Though I guess this one might not be great. Could buy the Lurrus. Okay, well, let's play the Mountain, return Bloodghast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go to 8 and play Tidehollow Sculler. I'm going to put the trigger on the stack. And actually, let's play Gravecrawler first. That's my plan. So play Gravecrawler. Then I'm going to go to 8, play Sculler.
I might respond to the Gravecrawler. Give me a sec.
Okay. So let's back up a little bit.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's like all your plays influence my decisions, and so taking them back and playing them just kind of like throws me off because I don't know that I would bolt something if I didn't know you already had a Sculler.
Well,
so
I gave you. I'm stupid and I gave you information.
Okay.
So just play with the information. I'm at 9. I'm playing Gravecrawler.
Yeah, but if I was going to do that, bleh. All right, that's fine.
Okay.
Whatever.
Then I will go to 8.
Okay.
Play Sculler. Trigger on the stack. I'm going to sacrifice.
He's a second defeater.
Yeah, but then you can just bolt the feeder.
Yeah, but then you're not getting bolted, and you get to strip a card, and you're. I mean, it's a huge advantage.
Yeah, sack the feeder. I think you're right. I don't think the point is as relevant.
Right. We'll bolt it.
Okay, then I will sack
because now the writing's on the wall for
to deal 1 to you with the Bombardment.
Yep, I'm at 17.
So you're at 17. I'm at 8. And I will take. I can take any non-land card. So I think I just have to take Snapcaster Mage.
It's gone forever.
Yeah, because Brazen Bar is never going to attack me.
These 2.
Yeah, Spell Pierce sucks.
Yeah, it does.
And Snap is basically a bolt anyway.
Yep.
These just entered, so I can't attack with anything, and I will pass the turn. You have 8 to 17.
So I'm at 13.
8 to 13.
Interesting. Bombardment's brutal.
It's been really good.
I think that's just going to be it, man. It's just going to be really good. It's just going to be extremely good. It's rare sack outlets are that good.
I don't think the Lurrus is particularly good just because you have Petty Theft, but you might be casting Borrower here just to force me to use a creature, because right now I can't recur either of them.
Yeah.
So, though, you have to assume that I will at some, pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
You do have the Bolt, but I'm pretty happy to, like, force you to Bolt Lurrus and get back Carrion Feeder. Yeah, so I think this is a buy Lurrus turn.
Okay.
Yeah, buy Lurrus.
Okay.
Pass.
Bounce this. Draw. Yep. Go. Unfortunately, I can't play this untapped and go Pierce plus Borrower because he could just pay for the Bombardment. So I have to like threaten double Pierce. So he's just never going to cast it.
Attack you
basically,
for 4.
I just always have to hold these up.
You go to 9.
Yep. But maybe I'll find a spot for Borrower and actually be able to claw back in. I don't think so. He's got 6 cards in hand. Can't be bad. He didn't play a land. It's all spells.
Yeah, I've got a pretty good hand. I'm just thinking about how to not die. And the play I was thinking of is definitely not it then, because it involves me taking 2 damage and potentially dying to a bolt or a snap.
Okay.
So don't want to do that. I think what I want to do...
I don't think I win this game anymore, so I'm trying to think if we can play another game with other decks.
Sackmeyer to 7.
7? Okay. Getting dangerously low there.
Yeah, I can take 1 more damage, and this means I actually have a land in play instead of the Silent Clearing. Don't really care about Tidal or Scholars.
Nope.
I will play Goblin Bombardment.
I'll pierce it.
I will pay.
Pierce it again.
That resolves.
Okay.
And I'll pass the turn.
I'll bolt you.
I'm at 4.
I don't know how else I can win other than doing that, so we're just doing it. That might have been it. Here go.
So when I show you the second Goblin Bombardment in my hand, are you sad or?
I mean, yeah, extremely. But you have to use them on my creatures, and you don't have a zombie in play. But I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, I'm probably dead. You don't got a showboat.
So now, definitely want to play Bombardment.
Yep.
And you're at 9.
Yep.
I'm gonna Brutality the Delver and drain you for 2 and attack.
All right. GG.
That's gonna put Todd to 3, put me to 6. If he plays Borrower, I get to kill it with, Gravecrawler, and I have Lurrus, Scholar, Bloodghast.
Yeah.
There's really not much you can do at that point.
All right. Well, we got 15 minutes. What do you want to do for 15 minutes?
Well, do we have some questions from the audience? And we can talk a little bit about the decks we had. And then, we got some sponsors and subs to thank. That usually takes a little bit of time.
I know.
I can showboat with the marbles here.
Let's see. Do you want to play one game against humans with your Bombardment deck? Because my humans deck didn't lose any cards when we were swapping stuff.
No, we don't have enough time to play another game, unfortunately. This is like
Oh, you don't want to play against Force Sanctifier, in fact?
This is what happens when you turbo through every single turn. Then we end at 3:45 and we don't want to play
I want to try to do best of 5 because I lost the first game. If I won the first game, I would have slowed down.
Your strategy.
Well,
of course.
Thankfully, chat has helped out, and there are plenty of questions for us to go
all
right,
with.
let's hit it.
We have a lovely chat.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Curious
Today,
chat.
we got a lot of people in chat today, so
Yeah.
I'm sure we got some interaction.
Let's kick things off with Kawaii 50. It's a good name.
That's a good name.
Ross.
How is it spelled?
Kawaii. Kawai.
It's like
Okay, so just like Hawaii with a K. I thought it might be like Kawhi Leonard when it was similar.
it's Japanese.
Kawaii.
It means like.
That's a meme thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kawaii is Japanese for cute.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, Kawaii 50 asks, Ross, why does the Jazz have to beat up on Memphis?
Because they're a much better team.
Roll Jazz.
You know that if you look at the shot quality both teams got in game 1, which is the game the Jazz lost without Donovan Mitchell, based on shot quality, they should have won by 10, and they lost by 3. They shot like 12 for 46 from 3 when they're the second best shooting team by percentage in the league and the number 1 team by volume. But there's it's the 1 seed versus the 8 seed. You got a game. You've been pretty competitive in the other games. If I were a Memphis fan, I'd be pretty happy. Like, that's a good showing from that Memphis team after beating Golden State to even make it because they finished with the 9th best record, and then in the play-in tournament they went 2-0 and beat Golden State. So I'd be very, very happy with the outcome of the season as a Memphis fan.
They're a very young team, right?
Yes, they're very young. John Morant is awesome.
Yeah,
I've just never seen a guy just hang in the air for so long.
It's like he's gliding.
He never hits the ground.
I bet I figured it out. Hollow bones. It's hollow bones. He's like a bird.
He's a bird.
He just floats.
There are guys that jump higher, but John Morant's hang time is unbelievable.
So maybe he does this thing where he jumps high with his legs like are outstretched downward, but then as he gets closer to the goal, he starts lifting his legs up slowly, so you can't tell. It just looks like he's hanging in midair.
I think he's
for a
just
long
so
time.
light. Like he's a smaller guy
All
for
bones.
an NBA athlete. Yeah, he's great. So
No, he's like that. He's like that TikTok filter, where it's that line that goes across and the things like stretch out.
basically.
All right.
Let's do Magic questions.
All right.
Well,
let's start
fine.
with Tonkus Lee. Do you think Abiding Grace is good enough to make Martyr of Sands a deck again?
This is the enchantment that returns a one.
Here's the problem.
Return.
I know a lot of the cards and what they do. I don't have all the names memorized. I wish I had a TV that
I
we could,
believe this is a
pop up
tuna
the
white
card.
enchantment that at the beginning of combat on your turn, or the beginning of your end step.
I got it.
Beginning of your end step, you get a Wonder Effect.
2 and a white, beginning of your end step, choose one. Gain a life or return target creature card with mana value 1 from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Yeah, it's excellent. I don't know if it's specifically busted with Martyr, but I think that card's just very good in general. So
Yeah, but I don't think Martyr is good enough. I don't think this card gives the deck another angle of attack. It's just an upgrade on Proclamation of Rebirth.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I always kind of like Proclamation of Rebirth because the outside chance that you just spend 3 mana to get back 3 good 1-drops like Soul Wardens when you have the I don't know, the little Leonin guy in play. I forget. his
That's
name.
Soul Sisters, not Martyr.
Same deck, man.
No, these are pretty different decks.
Okay, buddy.
Martyr has Sarah Ascended and all the Rangers and Ranger Captains, and is more of a control deck. Soul Sisters is more of an aggressive deck. But I do agree it's an upgrade on Proclamation. Most those decks at this point are only playing 1 proc usually, I would probably play 2 or 3 of this card. The issue is it's just so easy to kill 3-mana enchantments.
Yeah, they've done a good job. Or sorry, I don't want to say good job. They have done a job of making a bunch of cards be variable enough that they can kill enchantments, which I actually think is kind of BS. Enchantments used to be really hard to kill. The moment they gave black a way to kill enchantment, I just was like, okay.
It's not really Feed the Storm. It's things like Abrupt Decay. We're
sure, but Abrupt Decay's been around for 8 years or whatever.
sure.
So.
But the era when enchantments were hard to kill was the late 2000s, when people were playing Solitary Confinement and Enduring Ideal in Extended.
Yeah, I mean but they also people had Vindicate before that. It's just
That wasn't an Extended. At least, it was not at that time. It was earlier.
Sure, but that's what I'm saying. There was a weird pocket where enchantments were super powerful because there was just Naturalize and a couple other things, and that's not an era that was memorable for a lot of people because it was before a lot of people were born.
Yeah, there were times when you would bring in Ancient Grudge when your opponent only had Jite, because if you drew 1 Ancient Grudge, you could deal with 2 Jites.
Sure,
things like that happened.
Yeah, there's been this big push about just making cards like Rip Apart and Assassin's Trophy. I love Assassin's Trophy. Don't get me wrong.
All the creatures that kill them, so they're at least a reasonable body, like Gem Razor.
Yeah. There's all sorts of powerful cards that interact with enchantments. So I don't think enchantments are that big of a deal anymore.
I actually think the bigger deal for Martyr is all the good white interaction that's coming in. Squadron Hawk plus a Solitude is great. And we got Skyclave Apparition. Cool. I think that's what that deck was missing, was it didn't really have a lot of great interaction. And Path to Exile is a really awkward card to play early. Now that you're getting Solitude and you already have Skyclave Apparition, I think there's the artifact coming in the D&D set. That interaction is what I'm more excited about for Martyr than this enchantment. Though the enchantment is good and will go in the deck.
I think it's more of a commander card. I'm gonna leave it at that. It's fine. It's an okay card. If you like playing Martyr and stuff, it's fine. I don't know that it's a strict upgrade to Proclamation. I think they're quite different, but whatever. Hit me.
All right. From Figuero, right?
Figueroa.
But instead of where the E, there's a W also
Figueroa
inserted.
Jr.?
Figuero.
Fidetti Guerrero Jr.? Is that what we're doing?
Does the rebound aspect of Faithless Salvage make it good in Arclight Phoenix decks?
I know Aspiring Spike was talking about this and thinks there's some potential. I'm much lower on the card. This is the 2-mana Rummage Rebound
Yeah.
sorcery. It's 1 in red. So you can, like, you know, if you're lucky, you discard a Phoenix, you know, on that turn and the next turn.
Rummage sucks, man.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. Every card that rummages is just like 1,000 times worse than like Faithless Looting. But like Cathartic Reunion specifically is busted because it's a burst immediately with Dredge, and anything that's not an immediate burst with Dredge is just like not exciting. And this card's like cool or whatever. And the fact that it rebounds is like pretty interesting with Phoenix. Is it an instant?
It's a sorcery, I believe.
Okay, that's fine.
Like, you set yourself up for turn 3, and I do think that opening curve...
Rebound's good, though, man. Like, I don't know. It's just getting the effect twice and having an extra chance to do it, and you get to kind of pace the spell how you want. The more I think about it, the more it's probably not bad.
Here's my issue with the card, is that I do agree that on turn 2, when you're setting up for turn 3, it works really well.
Yes.
I think outside of that,
It's trash.
it works very poorly.
Yeah.
It's an instant.
Okay, that definitely makes it better, because now you could, you know, your opponent's not really, doesn't know what's going on. They might think you're playing interaction and they do something, you're just, okay, end step, I can do something. But, you know, when you're looting, when you're casting your cantrips and you're trying to find that looting effect, you know, it's a really weak one to draw off the top. Sometimes you only have the 1 mana left over, you can't even cast it. So I think there's going to be a lot of situations outside of that normal turn 2, turn 3 curve where it plays out really poorly. But it is good in those draws. So I would say overall a medium on the card. I don't think it's going to like bring back Phoenix in Modern.
No, like, I really wanted, like, a careful study. You know?
Yeah.
Like, Faithless Looting, obviously, very powerful. They banned it for a reason. Personally, I think the format was more fun when both Mox Opal and Faithless Looting were legal. I think that Modern Horizons 2 kind of just skyrocketed them both in power level because of Urza. Oko made Urza and Mox Opal outrageous, and Faithless Looting has just always been a powerful linchpin for a lot of discard decks. Now, with that said, a lot of these discard decks still exist without Faithless Looting, which is a testament to how powerful the payoffs actually are. But that said, they're all just like 1,000 times worse without Faithless Looting. Yeah, there's no question.
I 100% agree. I think they should unban Opal and Looting and ban Urza and Stinkweed Imp.
I would be fine with banning every card with Dredge that's ever been made, except
for Life from the Loam.
Except Life from the Loam.
You got to give us Dark Blast.
Dark Blast,
People don't even play it
maybe.
anymore, but it's sweet when he
Dagmor Salvage, I'm okay with.
Yeah, give them the Dredge 3
But
or
Shenanigans,
lowers.
I'd get Shenanigans out.
No.
Screw
Dredge
Shenanigans.
4 or more. Ban Thug 2. I'm fine with that. Just get them all out.
Okay, all right.
And you know me, I'm a Dredge guy.
Yeah, I know, but Dredge is a nightmare mechanic. I have no idea how they just like...
Think about how sweet this deck would be if I got to play Faithless. Oh,
yeah, I know.
It would be so sweet.
Yeah. I don't know.
So happy.
I miss Faithless Looting a lot.
I would draw so many more
me too.
Goblin
My
Bombardments.
enjoyment of Modern has dwindled since its banning. So that's all I got.
One more, and then we got to thank some subs and some sponsors.
All right. Last one from Kilogerm.
Oh, crap. I'm playing his deck tomorrow, or a deck that he built, the Mono Black Devotion, with some new cards in it. So you're not going to want to miss that. Killgerm is a Mono Black Devotion master. So.
All right. He's asking about a different deck altogether.
Yeah.
Is Tron dead?
No.
Will it have to adapt,
Yes.
or does the Karn Father not care?
I mean, I think Tron has been, Mono Green Tron specifically, has been a bad deck in Modern for a while. Since Modern Horizons 1. I think the format has just passed it by in terms of power level, and what the Tron deck is doing is just not at a level that is commensurate with the rest of Modern. Like, turn 3 Karn is not very scary.
I mean, I think you're wrong.
I used to be incredibly... When Tron was, at its height, turn 3 Karn on the play was basically GG, and turn 3 Karn on the draw was incredibly scary, and now I'm just not that scared by them. Not to say that, like, if they resolve, they're not good, but people have, way more ways to stop you from...
Force negation kind of changes the game.
Force negation is huge.
I will say this.
Ceremonious rejection. There's
a lot
so many
of the decks
tools
that play Force negation actually have a lot of trouble beating Wormcoil Engine. When I was playing, like, a lot of, Force negation decks a couple months back, and I played against Tron when it wasn't like super popular, but I played against it like 2 or 3 times, and I was like super prepared to beat a Karn, and then I just had nothing for a Wurmcoil Engine.
Have you put Jace the Mind Sculptor in your Force of Negation decks?
No, I was just playing these stupid bad Delver decks or whatever. Like I had 2 Vapor Snags as outs and two Brazen Bars.
Sure.
Like I was running thin, is what I'm saying. But it was still like I was super prepared for Karn, and then they had the juke of Wurmcoil, and like that actually like had a pretty significant impact on how the game played out. But
I think that the aggressive decks in the format are often killing you on turn 3 when they're on the play. Prowess does that quite a bit, or at least like.
Yeah, I mean, Prowess is just the new Infect, man. Like it's interactive Infect. It's very, very good.
Yeah. So I'm not a big fan of Mono Green Tron to begin with. I don't think these hate cards are going to kill it, but I don't even think Void Tower, the artifact, is even that good. I think Break the Ice is quite good.
I agree.
Especially out of shadow decks. Like, Cleansing Wildfire has been a pretty common sideboard card. Break the Ice is much better. Provided it's not that much more difficult.
Break the Ice is a sideboard card. Cleansing Wildfire is like something that Flagstones or control decks can play without like much drawback or whatever.
Yeah, but like Prowess decks sometimes play like Cleansing Wildfire in the sideboard, or like Jun Shadow.
Yeah, but like
play it. Now Jun Shadow can play Break the Ice if they want to.
Yeah, I mean
that's messed up.
It's going to be extremely good in decks that apply pressure, but that's how it always is. Like you have to apply pressure with your disruption, or Tron will eventually just refine Tron.
Even out of control decks, they just sort of keep you off balance with the first one, then use their counter spells once you reassemble Tron until they get to 6 mana, and then overload it, and the game's over. So I saw
you post a tweet about overloading it. I don't think that's going to happen as much as you think.
Well, I think the overload aspect means it's not going to happen that often, but it means it's the fact that you can build towards that makes it playable in decks that don't have as much pressure. Because that is the pressure. You're building towards essentially a combo, right?
Yeah.
It's a 1-card combo.
Do you remember like 15 years ago or so when Dredge was super popular in various formats, and like Game 1 was a buy for Dredge. Like Dredge always won Game 1.
All the graveyard hit back then was so bad.
Right. Well, no, you had Leyline of the Void and stuff like that. Like I'm saying, like after Leyline of the Void, like and there were ways to interact with the graveyard very aggressively. But what I'm saying is like Game 1 was a buy for Dredge, and it's almost always a buy for Dredge. And then Games 2 and 3 are the hard ones, but you still play Dredge in the face of graveyard hate because Game 1's a buy, and then you just have to win 1 of 2. Yeah. And I think that with Tron, in this scenario, when you're talking about all these decks that want to play Break the Ice or whatever, like Tron's just favored against those decks. And after sideboard, they have some sinkholes, but like Tron has been playing at sinkhole for their entire life or whatever. Like they've just been
not sweating in a sinkhole.
I mean, Cleansing Wildfire, Spreading Seas, Boom Bust, and sometimes like turn 1 ramp, turn 2 pillage. Like there are a lot of ways that people attack them on their mana on turn 2 in Modern.
And the turn 2 pillage decks obliterate them. There's a huge difference between Cleansing Wildfire and actually destroy the land. That's a big point for me.
Sure.
Because they play like Thragtusk now to take advantage of all those effects. That's post Field of Ruin, when those effects became really popular.
Tectonic Edge making a comeback. I've been seeing that.
Actually taking their land away is an even bigger deal.
I agree. All right, let's close it up.
All right.
Okay. You got some subs for us to thank, Dan?
Yes, I do have some subs. First off, Canadian Gamer Dude subscribed with a Prime sub, new subscriber.
Who's Prime? It's Prime Gaming, yeah.
Yeah. God of Metagame, new subscriber with a Prime sub.
Thank you.
And Yusha EX, another new subscriber, not with a Prime sub this time.
Oh, hell yeah. Actual dollars.
Actual dollars, actual money. Thank you, Yusha.
Thank you so much for that support. If you would like to support Star City Games in another way, you can join SCG Premium, $7.99 a month. We'll get you access to exclusive content from our wonderful staff of content creators, including both Todd Anderson and myself, as well as some other perks, which are 5% off of sealed product, 10% off of singles, and 15% off of supplies. So head on over to starcitygames.com/join-premium and sign up today.
Yep. You can also check out another sponsor of ours, Colas Apparel. colasapparel.shop/SEG will get you 10% off a bunch of awesome Magic-themed shirts, hoodies, and stickers. I've worked with Colas Apparel for a long time. I'm currently wearing the Roll Todd shirt, and you can definitely buy you one of those if you want. Or you can just pester Cedric and ask him when he's going to reduce the price on the Roll Todd shirt because it's old. It was like one of the first ones. I need that discount.
Our final sponsor is Carnox Chairs. If you like the chairs that we sit in, you can check them out and use the affiliate link carnox.com/SCG to get 10% off of your purchase of one of these lovely chairs.
Yep. StarCityGames.com is also doing pre-orders. Make sure to go to SCG.com/previews. You can pick up Modern Horizons 2 singles on pre-order, or you can pre-order sealed product. This is going to be a hard-hitting set. It's going to have a ton of staples for Modern. It's going to completely change the landscape in a number of ways, and this is your chance to get in now before those cards skyrocket, because once demand is going to be higher than the supply, because that's how it always works with these supplemental sets. You got to get it now, or else you're just probably never going to get it. Yeah, so.
And if you need a little bit extra cash to pick up all those sweet Modern Horizons 2 cards that you've got your eye on, keep in mind that Star City Games is always buying, and the process has never been easier because there's so many ways to do it. You can mail your cards into SCG and let them do the work for you. You can use the buy list feature on the website if you want to do the work. You can make an appointment and come in and do everything in person if that's what you would like. And if your collection is big enough, you can make that appointment and have SCG come to you. And always keep in mind that when you are trading in your cards for store credit, you do get a 30% bonus on that.
All right. Last but not least, StarCityGames.com has a sale every week. This week we're doing 25% off gaming supplies. You can get that up until, I believe, is it Monday night at 11:59?
Monday morning, 10:59 a.m. Eastern. Monday morning.
Monday morning, 10:59 a.m. 25% off all gaming supplies. That's, dice.
Play mats.
All the
Play
stuff that
mats.
you need to game.
Yeah,
awesome sleeves.
Oh,
and
can you?
stuff.
I wonder if you can
Everybody's
get
starting to gather together and
man.
play things in person.
What was the boogie board? Boogie boards
Yeah.
rule. I love boogie boards.
Good time to make sure you got all the supplies you need to have fun. Play
Yeah.
those Commander games. Play new Modern games against all your friends.
In-store plays back on the menu, boys.
Yep.
So make
that
sure
is
you
going to
get them
be
supplies.
the show for us today. Thank you all for joining us on this rare Wednesday edition of Versus Live.
I got one thing before we go.
What do you
And then
got?
you can close this out. All right. This is my first time back in like 18 months, 19 months. I don't want to get too emotional or whatever, but this was a lot of fun. I very much look forward to doing it a lot. Magic's been a huge part of my life for a long time. So thank you to everybody who's watching, and thank you for supporting Star City Games and my content so that I can live this blessed life. Thank you.
And thank you for being here, Todd. Loved having you here. Todd is going to be with us for tomorrow's show. We're going to be back to our regular schedule Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, same time, same place here on this channel. And then next week, we'll be back to normal as well. Todd's going to be with us on Tuesday,
Corey will be back
1
on Thursday,
p.m., and
right?
Corey will be back on Thursday. So you got 2 more Todd episodes. He's got 2 more shots at getting these marbles.
Yeah, and I'm keeping them. They're going in my
2
basement.
more shots for Todd, but so far, it's
I'm going to toss them all in my hot tub and we go dipping for them.
yeah. He's a little bit rusty. Turn it into real life hungry hippos. That's
Let's just
gonna
hope
be
it doesn't
a
get clogged.
Yeah. That's a recipe for disaster. We're not going to actually do that.
not
Don't do that at home, kids.
No,
That's a
don't
really,
do
really
that.
bad idea. But thank you all for joining us today. We will be back on our regular schedule tomorrow, and you better believe we're going to be playing some more sweet Modern Horizons 2 decks. So for Dan May in the booth, Todd Anderson across from me, I'm Ross Merriam, and we will see you then.
Bye, y'all.